The podcast on Haunted Hill will contain spoilers and swearing.
I am the devil, and I am here to do the devil's work.
Please help us, Michael. Be one of us.
I didn't tell you my name.
Hang up.
I didn't tell them my name.
They're all part of it. They're all parts of
It is time to keep your appointment.
Hello and welcome to the podcast on Haunted Hill, episode 85. I almost said episode 1985, but that is what we're doing with Time Team. I can't wait. But yeah, it's my birthday, and I'm going to party if I want to, and I'm going to cry if I want to.
Oh, you took it there.
Well, that's the original. It's my party, and I'll cry if I want, and it's your party, it's your birthday. Oh no.
I kind of had that. Have you ever had a birthday party like that where you know a bit sad?
You just cry.
It's my birthday and I'll cry. It's my party and I'll cry if I want to.
Well, yeah, it's when you're little though, isn't it? Like Elijah's hilarious. He's 5. He's a little boy, and the shit that makes him cry. And I'll be like, stop crying. It's not worth crying over. Stop crying. Yeah. You know, he just doesn't get it. But it's because just. The mind at that age just doesn't grasp some things, which is so funny. So yeah, crying on your birthday. I'm not though. I'm not crying on my birthday, and it is my birthday. This episode is handpicked by me.
By yourself, your special birthday hands.
The strange two connections is it's a bit to do with mental health, and it's a what's he called? The red-headed fella. David Caruso. Oh. It's a David Caruso double bill. That's the connection.
That was kind of an accident, wasn't it?
It was. Cool. It's kind of weird because I only sort of know him from that and CSI. I watched him in it. Do you know what I mean? I don't really know him from other
My
stuff.
mum used to love CSI. Jesus.
I like the original CSI. I really like that. Did you ever see the one Tarantino directed?
No. I saw the episode of ER that he directed.
Oh, how was that?
It was good. It starts off with a man who fallen off a roof and then got impaled on his TV aerial.
Was it Danny Trejo by any chance?
No, but that would have been amazing. Imagine him just being wheeled in the hospital. Hey, I got a fucking aerial in my stomach, man. Come on, get this shit out of me. George Clooney. Hey, George Clooney was in it. So they would have met later on in Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah, because obviously they starred together, and that's pretty much the only sort of movie you can look at with Tarantino as an actor. I know he's done other bits and bobs, but it's the only one where you can look at him like that's a feature. And to be honest, when you watch that, you don't think of Tarantino as a director. Any other acting roles he does, you're like when he does his own stuff, you're like, oh god, because his acting's, it's a bit sketchy. But like, I
wonder if
but
that's
from
where
Dust Till Dawn
Tarantino.
is brilliant though, isn't it?
Well, I wonder if Tarantino met Clooney on the set, and probably that's where he may have thought you might be quite good for this role.
Well, you're just going to have to look up the times, years when they did it, and then you'd know. Yeah, but that's probably how it happened. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about today.
Let's talk about your birthday instead.
Yeah, it's my birthday. It was my birthday a little while ago. We've been a little late getting the episode out. Life gets in the way as it does, doesn't it, Daniel?
It does indeed.
And I'm Gav, by the way.
Happy birthday to you.
You're
Gav.
And you're Dan.
Sorry.
Yeah, we didn't really say that. Cheers, thanks so much. 43.
That's all right, isn't it?
It's fine, Ed. It's weird. I don't really notice it really. You only notice it. You notice people getting younger. That's the only thing you notice. All of a sudden you're just like, oh, you're so young. Then you're like, oh, like they're not as young as you in your brain. You think they're probably like 18. They're like 35. Like what? Or like no, not that. 28 or whatever.
Sort of half our age. I used to think that someone who was like 42, 43 was just ancient. Do you know what I mean?
I remember thinking someone who's 30 is just crazy.
You silly old bastard. You don't know what you're talking about.
I don't think about it, and in this day and age, the time of life has sort of gone up and up and up, and people are living a lot longer than they used to be because of obviously technology and medical science, etc. And so it's a weird time. So I am middle-aged, aren't I guess, but it's weird because all my friends are all still grown up going, yeah, we like horror movies, yeah, we skateboard, yeah, we hang out and party. Well, not hang out and party so much, but we still do these cultural things. And
that will die out, I think, because
any diehards will carry it on, I guess, but like,
I don't think the new
fans.
generations are really into pop culture and things like that, are they?
No, I think you're wrong. I think it's easy to look at them and just be like, they've got no attention span. All they watch is YouTube, and it's quick, and there's no particular thing they stay onto for very long because they keep moving so quick, which they do. But I think there's other side of them, which is like these hardcore, with the advent of the internet, hardcore like Dungeons and Dragon people who play that and stuff, like really full on. Do you know what I mean? And nerds are super cool nowadays, and like you get all these really hot looking nerds and stuff. Not like looking at if you know what I mean. I feel so out of touch with music, especially because I'm quite stubborn with music, and I only really I've listened to the same artists really for 20 years. Yeah. But when you come up, because I always remember thinking that of my mum. She still listens to the same stuff she listened to. So she had this period of like, I don't know, 10, 15 years or 10 years where she grasped and grabbed her collection of stuff she liked and just kept that, and just like, no, I don't need to listen to new stuff. And it's easy to do that. I know. So it's like searching for a film. You want to look for a good movie to watch, and then you always end up going for something you've probably already seen. You know, well, I know what I'm getting for this, and time feels so much shorter. So it's like, well, I know this is cool, so I'll just go watch that, or I'll listen to this. I like this album. I like that song.
Sometimes you just something reliable, don't you?
Yeah, something to stick onto. Anyway, so today, the films we are we are covering, the choices I've made are First Blood, which originally I wanted to do a First Blood and Last Blood, and we're going to go through all the Rambos and do like a whole thing. I really couldn't get along with Last Blood, and it kind of put me off, so... if anything, I'd rather done First Blood and Rambo. Anyway, we're doing First Blood. I love this movie. We'll get onto that conversation when we get to it. And the other one is Session 9, a horror film which I don't know where it came from in my mind. It's like in my collection, or where it came into my zeitgeist, and I just discovered it, and it's grown on me, this movie, where I really like it. I understand the blue collar mentality.
2001.
Yeah, it's just really stuck. It's not something you go, oh yeah, and it's a group of, again, a group. It's me with groups of guys, isn't it? I love groups of guys.
You do.
Yeah.
And
groups
weirdly,
of guys
both
in isolation with something trying to attack them, like The Thing. That's why I love it. Again, go on. Sorry,
and
continue.
there's a isolation perhaps with Rambo as well, in that he does isolate himself. And again, maybe that is linked in with the theme of the episode, which is mental health awareness. We're not going to bog ourselves down with some of the sadder elements of mental health, but we are going to talk about that from time to time throughout this episode, guys, because it's something Gav and I have touched on here and there, and both of these episodes strangely have a theme of mental health or poor mental health throughout them, and you might not think that with First Blood, but when we get into the talking about it, it's called a very sad film, and very, if you look into the elements,
at the core of it, it is very sad, the treatment to the vets and stuff, but like, that's a discussion itself though, because
but it's also a very fun movie as well.
Well, at the time, the media obviously were putting them across as baby killers and rapists and burners of villages, and that's what the media was putting across before, and at the same time, though, that was the first time the media in America also shown video footage of actually dead people from a war. So I don't know. I don't know why vets were treated the way they were by some people and alienated. It's a really strange thing, because you'd be like, well, surely that's like a hero, but like, again, like the media,
it's crazy.
Like media, fake media or real media or whatever. I don't know. Putting stuff out there for the masses to see. They can say anything they like. And yeah, we didn't have the internet then, so
It's crazy. I mean, for me, and I don't want to talk about Vietnam too much, but for me, it's crazy that young boys were sent to another country, ordered to kill, like you said,
for
villages,
war, which is
people.
War again,
they
most ridiculous
experienced
thing.
and saw and did terrible things, had terrible things done to them. Then they came back. Most of them, a lot of them, got addictions or substance abuse, or became homeless. And instead of sort of getting help, they were just punished or treated as outcasts, like you say. So no wonder there's a lot of poor mental health that came off the back of the Vietnam War. Terrible, really terrible. But hopefully America and the world has learned from that. I'd like to think. I mean, I think things are a little better.
Yeah.
Perhaps not as much as they could be, but they are a little bit better. But war is not a nice thing.
No,
is my summary
we
there.
discussed that film because it came from a book and it sat in pre-production for it sat in limbo for many years.
Yeah,
before it
quite an
actually got
interesting
made.
backstory to that.
But we're getting to that, and also we've got World of Strange. I'm gonna talk about a couple of things. And
Yeah, it's your birthday. You're going to present some stories to me.
I know, and we actually there's a little note here. Got to do a bit of spring cleaning, so to speak. We from now on do actually have to abide with copyright laws, so to speak. We need to keep things a little bit more legit nowadays. I love putting stuff together, like when I'm making like mixtapes. Where I used to make mixtapes, I loved putting like those little intros together for movies with music and stuff. We can't do so much of that. It's just the way times are changing, and we just have to abide to this.
Part of it is that our episodes are now going to be starting to be uploaded on YouTube, thanks to Bo and the Legion, and partly because some of the laws have changed, and Spotify have started flagging when there's copyrighted music that's being used without permission. So we do, and it's not just us, it's every podcast, not just within the Legion network, but I should imagine every podcast that's just is out now is going to have to start just being a little bit more careful.
So we won't have music. Yeah, we got onto that. So the intros. We won't be. There might not be so much intros. There possibly might just be me and Dan doing reenactments of scenes from the movies.
Yep.
We could have done the First Blood one. And it's just.
Well, we can still do trailers because that's promotion for the film. It's just. We may have to dial back on some of the songs that we can use, but we'll figure out something to keep everybody entertained. Whether it's me beatboxing and Gav singing.
Yeah, but we've got other ways we can do it as well. Like the song I've chose today, I've spoken to the artist before, so I just emailed him and he's like, "Yeah, cool, use the song,"
Yep. So we've got his permission to use
the
song.
So we can use the song. So if YouTube say anything, it's like, well, we've got the permission, but then you have to go through the whole thing, sending them emails and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, if they do, we can prove it, so yes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Very true.
What's going on?
Anyway, well, let's talk about what we've watched, Gavin.
Oh, God.
It was your birthday.
I don't remember. Now, on my birthday, I did watch a film. Sarah and we watched Maximum Overdrive.
Yes,
it was. I've been dying to see it. Got a copy for my birthday. It's on my Amazon wishlist.
So this was your first watch of it, wasn't it? I think.
No, I saw it when I was a kid.
Okay, so your first watch as an adult, where you now take films a bit more seriously.
Yeah.
And how much cocaine do you think Stephen King was on?
He took a lot. I reckon he made a little mountain which he could have filmed The Shining on of cocaine.
That was what The Shining wasn't snow at the end of that whole scene at the end. That was cocaine in that maze.
Yeah, it was. It was Stephen King's cocaine room.
Room.
Yeah.
He's got a room.
You just go around it like a maze, sniffing that.
Oh my God! Imagine Jack Nicholson and Stephen King on cocaine in the 80s. Jesus Christ!
Oh my God! They must have done that.
That would have been horrible, wouldn't it?
That'd have been horrible. It'd have been pretty intense.
Yeah, there's been no sleep for about a week with those two. So you watched that, and that was how you spent your birthday, watching Maximum Overdrive.
Well, I did have some food in the daytime to lunch with the kids, and they all had arguments, and I didn't really give a shit. And then I was like, right, sit down, I'm away for a few days now. I didn't really care. So that was that. I did go skateboarding though with Daisy. That was kind of cool.
It's cool. You've been doing a little bit more skateboarding recently, haven't you?
Yeah, I did a couple of bits, and my ankles got really stronger for some reason. I don't know why. I was doing a lot of physiotherapy with it, and I've been signed off that now, and I think it's better now. A little bit, I guess. I don't know. It's really weird because it was really shit, and then all of a sudden it's just like super strong, and I've not felt any pain at all from it whatsoever. But
so shall we start our parkour club again soon then?
Oh yeah, no, but skating's enough, man. But I won't be flipping my board very much because I can't sort of bend my ankle in that way to do that. So anyway, just be little straight ollies and just little things like that, and pumping around the park. Anyway, yeah, that's it really. What have you been up to?
So I have had a bit of a catch up. I've watched a few newer films, which I want to chat about briefly. I've watched quite a lot of creature features. Weirdly, I've realised. I had a bit of a watch party with Kate, one of our listeners. Kate, we watched this movie that everyone's been talking about, Velocipaster. Which is a very low budget movie about a priest who goes to China, gets stabbed by a fossilized raptor claw and becomes basically a were dinosaur, a velocipaster, and him and a prostitute team up to take down a gang of ninjas who are selling cocaine in LA. That's a genuine film that is out there if you haven't seen it. It's really cheap, but done in such a way that you can't not laugh at it and love it, really. It's so funny and bad, and the effects are purposely bad. I know a lot of people have been talking about it online, and I just had to check it out. And Kate said she wanted to, so I said, "Well, look, let's just open up a little chat group." So we kind of watched it. We were in the same room, but it's quite cool doing that. I think we should try and do that a bit more often. Watch parties, they are quite cool. So we had a laugh watching that. I also watched La Valantula,
What have you been smoking?
La Valantula stars Steve Guttenberg, Michael Winslow from the Police Academy movies, also stars Hooks from the Police Academy movies, and I think there was one other person. Basically, it's got like 4 cast from the Police Academy movie. It's
really
fantastic. And it's really good fun. And the sequel's out now, which I need to watch, called To Lava, To Lantula, which I need to check out. Steve Guttenberg plays basically like a washed-up Bruce Willis type actor. He's quite ripped in it, actually. He gets his chest and his six-pack out a few times. And it was quite funny. Again, you know what you're getting. And it crosses over with Sharknado, because at one point he bumps into the guy from Sharknado and he says, I can't talk now, I've got to deal with these sharks. And he says, I'm dealing with these lavalantulas. And they go their separate ways.
Oh, my God.
So it crosses over.
And you're hot for old school Steve Guttenberg.
He's brilliant. Well, this is new. This is Steve Guttenberg now.
Yeah, but he's old.
He's still got it, Gav.
Oh, has he?
Yeah, he's old.
I'm old. I did watch a couple of things, actually. I watched The Editor. Have you ever seen that movie?
The Editor? No.
It's on Amazon Prime. It's a Giallo homage movie, but it's really fucking well made. You think it's going to be a bit cliche in that, but it's really fucking good. I'm definitely recommending that movie, The Editor.
Okay, yeah, I've not seen that. I think I've heard of that.
It's stylishly done, but the people who've made it have actually made a good job. It's been very easy just to put a bit of style into a movie and go, this is a homage to Giallo, and let's put some jokes in here and there, and it just come across kind of a bit shit. This was a really good film. I really highly recommend it.
Is it gory?
Yeah, really gory.
Yeah? Oh, brilliant. Oh, The Editor. Let me just pop that on my list.
Yeah, it's a good movie. Also, I watched The Disaster Artist.
Ah, yes. I really want to check this out. Is it good?
It's really good. That's another one I recommend. I haven't seen The Room yet, but Sarah watched The Room. She said it's great. But do you know what? It's just literally last night, the main guy from The Room, he was in Prince Charles Cinema in Leicester Square doing 2 screenings and a Q&A.
Weird.
Have you ever seen The Room?
I've watched about 25 minutes of it. Like, someone put together the best moments, which I've watched.
Okay, yeah. Disaster Artist is cool, though. It's a good movie.
I've seen like that clip where he's like, what does he say? He
hey,
says,
Mark.
I did not hit her.
I did not hit her. Oh, hey, Mark. Yeah, they've got that bit.
Apart.
That bit took him so long to film as well. He couldn't do that bit till they gave him like this, wherever he's holding a plastic bottle.
He's such a weird guy, isn't he?
But the thing is, the idea, you got to watch it, because all of a sudden he just goes, I'm going to make a movie. I got an idea, let's just make our own movie.
Have you seen his Joker audition?
No, I haven't. I imagine it's quite scary. But
he auditioned for the Joker. It's fucking mental.
But he I'm sure it is. He just has money. So he ends up spending about 6 million, or was it 3 million, on the movie himself.
Strange man. And
he goes to the rental house where you rent gear, and he buys it. And they're like, no, but we rent. He goes, I want to buy it. And it's like, what? And they go, do you want film or digital? And he goes, both. and he rigs a system up on a tripod so he can shoot digital and with film simultaneously. That's absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane. It's going to slow down making the movie because you're loading up two things at once. You keep an eye on two different systems, and you don't. Why would you do that right next to each other? It's fucking insane. But you should watch the movie. It's well worth it, especially if you like behind the scene. If you like behind the scene filmmaking or those sorts of movies like Edward, that sort of thing. Check it out.
I should probably check out The Room first. I think for my OCD.
No, funny enough, I didn't because I watched that, and I think I can't wait to watch The Room now. Because
do you think it's good to do it that way?
I think do it that way because you get the backstory first.
Okay, I want to take it down a peg or two. Then, unfortunately, off the back of Melissa Pastor, I thought, I'm going to check this movie out. So I watched Shark Exorcist.
Oh my God! What are you doing? Are you smoking crack?
No.
How are you? Why are you watching these films?
Shark Exorcist was literally worse than terrible. It's a nun.
Was it not called Sharkicist?
No, it's just called Shark Exorcist, and it says Devil Has Jaws.
Oh, Devil Has Jaws. That's terrible.
And it's basically a shark that's been possessed by the devil and it's roaming around eating people. It's just really bad. I'm not going to dwell on it too much. Another creature feature I did watch though, which I really, really liked, and I think you might have seen this at the cinema, was Cruel.
Yeah. Did you enjoy it?
Oh man, I really enjoyed it actually.
You'd enjoy that.
I thought it was going to be. I thought I could predict what was going to happen, and then when I realised there was more than one alligator, is all I'll say, I thought, oh wow, this is a bit different. And then it just got, and it was really fucking gory as well, wasn't it? Oh man, it was really good fun. It really reminded me of if I'd have found that sort of movie when I was about 14 or 15, it would have been one that I watched over and over.
Yeah.
It really appealed to the teenager in me.
Yeah, no,
really
definitely.
Good.
I watched The Lighthouse as well, which is incredible, and I have my Blu-ray pre-ordered already. Really good movie.
So it's as good as they say.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Cinematography is lovely. It's just, it's really funny because Sarah and I don't know why, when it came on, I was like, oh, it's in this ratio. It's in more of an old school box ratio, like 16:2. I can't remember what it is. 16:2? I don't know. And everything we've been watching recently is in that ratio. It's really strange. But yeah, Lighthouse, super good. I think, I'm not going to get into it now. I think we should watch it. Then at some point, at some point we're going to cover it, definitely. Maybe we could do that with, we could do that with H.P. Lovecraft movie Stuart Gordon did, Dagon. Just because it's a sort of a fishing town, maybe. Oh, I don't know. Is that a bit weird? I don't know. Anyway, we will talk about it another time. It's very good. Also, one other thing quickly.
Well, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, you sure? Should you go? Yeah. It is my birthday.
No. I know it is.
So really,
why do you think I'm naked?
Each time you talk, Each time you talk, I'm just going to put my hand up and say no. It's my birthday. So it'd just be me. No, just be me talking.
All right, listeners. So Gav's going to be talking for about 3 hours now.
No. The other thing I watched very quickly was a Charles Dickens written BBC mini film called The Signalman, which is in the Ghost Stories for Christmas box set, which I picked Sarah up for her birthday. Watched that with her the other night. Fucking loved it. It's amazing. Speaking of square formatted,
to check out actually, because I've probably watched a couple of those when I was younger, but
I hadn't seen.
I know a lot of people really rate that.
I hadn't seen anything. I just watched one of them. And it's really good. It's really folk horror. It's just about this dude who's at a train tunnel. He's a signalman basically. All he does is change, and this guy comes to visit him a couple of times at night. You'd know who he is. He's the guy who's the butler in Coming to America. No, Trading Places. And he's and he just says that he has this dream of like this thing happening, a disaster and stuff, and there's twists in it and stuff, but I'm not going to tell you because it's a really good movie. This is probably like 1973 British. It's good. It's probably maybe an hour, don't know.
Well, I know that we both watched the same film. I don't know if you got to the end of it because it's quite a long movie. But did you get to finish The Irishman?
Yes, we did get to watch it. It took bloody ages because when
it's 3.5 hours long, isn't it? It's the longest film released in the last 20 years.
Yeah, actually, while we were watching it, I looked up the longest movies, and there was one movie which was played for something like 60 days or something ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Well,
this is the longest motion picture released in the last 20 years, so it's definitely Martin Scorsese indulging himself.
Well, to be fair, it's kind of nice that they did this. You're not going to probably see these dudes in this state like this again. So it's kind of cool to sort of...
It's great to see all of them on screen together.
Yeah.
Definitely. If Christopher Walken had been in it, that would have made it for me.
Who?
Christopher Walken. I'd love to have him to have been in it as well, Then you would have had all the old school sort of...
Yeah, but he's not a Scorsese
scary guys in it.
Officio, really, is he?
Aficionado. I know.
I said officio.
It's great to see Pacino.
Yeah, totally.
Pacino was good at that.
Yeah, it's
De Niro.
The story.
Broke my heart.
Yeah, the story. I kind of because it was going back and forwards, and we had to make some dinner, then we had to do something else, and because it's over so long, I did drift with the story a bit of what's going on slightly, but that's just because it's me. You know what I'm like.
I think the only other way it would have worked is if they'd have done like 4 45-minute episodes.
Yeah, but I don't think Scorsese do.
Apparently, Alice's parents went to see it when it was briefly released.
Oh, really?
Cinema, and they didn't realise how long it was. And about an hour into it, Alice's mum was thinking, well, this is probably going to wrap up soon. And 2 hours into it, she was thinking, oh, what the hell's going on? And she popped out for a wee, came back in, and had asked the man how long it was, and said to Alice's dad, there's another hour and a bloody half on this, Tim. So he was in trouble. But they ended up watching it all at the cinema, but I don't think I could have handled that at the cinema.
I couldn't have done that. I love the fact Sarah's idea of the young Robert De Niro being Crichton from Red Dwarf.
He did look a bit like him.
As soon as she said that to me, she just starts laughing, and it's like some serious moment. And she's laughing away, and I'm looking at what? And she sort of says, and I was like, no, she goes, oh, I can't tell you. So just what? And she said to me, and totally every time the young Robert De Niro's on the screen with his like really sort of squared face with the CGI and stuff.
CGI was a bit weird, I will say that.
He looked like Crichton from Red Dwarf. Yeah.
Well, another epic movie that I got around to watching, and I'll only briefly touch on it, is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I finally got around to watching that.
Yeah.
And I thoroughly enjoyed it.
You should have saw it in the cinema.
Didn't know if I would enjoy it. About 20 minutes in, I was still undecided. But
I know, it's a bit like that, isn't it? It's a weird one. With Tarantino, you generally like straight away pretty much know. And generally...
Now I want to go back and watch it again. I think the story and the little moments, I want to go back and sit through it again. Especially knowing the reward, the final sort of 10 minutes, the reward you get as well, without spoiling it, because it's still relatively new.
Yeah.
Very quickly, because I know we've talked a long time about movies, there's a couple of zombie comedies I've watched, which I wanted to chat about. One of them is The Dead Don't Die with Bill Murray.
Any good?
Have you seen that or heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard of it, and it's kind of didn't get very well rated. So I was going to watch it thinking it's going to be shit, and hopefully it won't be as shit.
Yeah, it was a bit meta to the point that it was referencing that it's a film, or it was talking about itself, or they were actors in a film, which threw me a bit. I enjoyed it overall, but it was a bit of an odd movie. But I did watch another zombie comedy, which was phenomenal, and that's Little Monsters, which is a Kiwi-Australian comedy about a kindergarten teacher and a bunch of kids who get caught in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. But it's kind of like Shaun of the Dead in that it doesn't really matter that it's a zombie apocalypse. It's more about what's going on with the people in the the main cast. And I'll tell you what it reminded me of, and it would pair up nicely with, is One Cut of the Dead. It's such an uplifting, cute film. By the end of it, I was like smiling from ear to ear, and I don't know how a zombie comedy with a woman playing a ukulele singing Taylor Swift songs and little kids dressed up as Darth Vader, don't know how it could really do that to me, but it made me feel really, really overjoyed by the end of it. And that's Little Monsters. I highly recommend that to anyone who hasn't seen that. Really good, brand new. Well, 2019 it came out, so it's really good.
They were both in the cinema at the same time. Those two movies.
Did you not catch that one? You didn't catch that one, did you?
No, I've not seen it. I'll get around
I don't think it was out very long.
No, I should have saw it when it came out, but I just didn't. Anyway, let's stop talking. This intro's taking ages. Let's get on to some shit.
All right, one last one I'll say, and then we'll get into some Session 9, is if you haven't seen it and you want a good remake, go watch Child's Play. I was blown away by how good Child's Play was. I'm not saying it was an incredible movie, but the first movie is such a classic that I didn't know that they were going to be able to do that, remake it, and they have, and it was really good fun, really gory, really nasty sense of humour with it, much like an 80s horror movie. Child's Play, go check it out. Luke Skywalker does the voice.
I think that's got kind of mixed on that, but anyway, let's get out of here. We'll be back soon with Session 9.
And I gotta get construction crews in here by Columbus Day, so you got a guesstimate how long?
I've got 4 really good guys. 1 week, we're gone.
That's fast.
I need the job.
So the loonies are outside in the real world, and here we are with the keys to the loony bin, boys.
You might actually want to be grateful, and you're about to make some decent money.
What's the catch?
Patricia Willard scandal, 1984.
I want you to try to remember what happened 24 years ago.
Use your imagination.
These shrinks figured that with these new techniques they designed, they could release hidden memories.
You can hear me.
You okay?
I want to go home. I wouldn't tell anybody about this. If they find out about Hank, they're gonna find out about the others. What of the others?
I want to come home. I am so sorry.
Cool, so here we go with our first review of Gav's birthday episode. So Session 9 from 2001. Tensions rise within an asbestos cleaning crew as they work in an abandoned mental hospital with a horrific past that seems to be coming back. It sounds weird, doesn't it? An asbestos crew, and it's kind of, I don't really know if I've ever watched a movie about a group of, I've probably seen movies about like pest controllers,
there is, yeah. But it is a bit like, okay, it's basically just be like some decorators or something. It's a bit like.
I really, this was the first time I saw this, so I got to admit, when you suggested it, I thought, okay, that doesn't sound like something I'd be interested in.
It doesn't sound like anything people be into, really.
Unless you're well into asbestos.
Yeah, I have to do asbestos tests as well. I did one like 2 weeks ago, actually. So it's funny when they're talking about the asbestos on the types.
Bedroom redecorated, and they're taking the ceiling down and putting it back up, and they've got to be very careful that it's not asbestos in there. That might explain why I've gone a bit loopy over the last year, if I'd be sleeping in a room with asbestos in the ceiling. Directed by Brad Anderson. Only other thing really you might know him from is directing The Machinist with a very skinny Christian Bale. He directed lots of TV stuff as well, though. But it's a bit of a sleeper hit from the sound of it. Like this, I think this did well at festivals and Fright Fest and stuff like that. But people are really, and it's 19 years old now. I think people are still only just discovering it now. Much like myself, one of those movies that potentially was missold, or not missold, let me get that right. Bad marketing. The title, Session 9, and the sort of the artwork, it doesn't really sell it.
Not at all.
When you sit down and watch it, it's much more than, Session 9. You think, what is this about? Asbestos? What? No, I'm not really interested. But it is so much more than that, isn't it? So, because you really like this movie and you recommended it. Obviously, it's your birthday episode. So tell me how you came across this, Gav, this movie.
Not sure. I think I probably picked it up at like a second-hand car boot sale, something like that. And I think it's just on a whim, just picked it up, started watching it, and just really digged it. Now, I kind of can relate to the the workforce that you've got there, the guys going in to do a job. Oh, we'll do it at this price. Oh no, actually we could do it at this price if we could do it quicker. Oh, okay, you know, and I kind of just related to it, and I don't know why I was so intrigued by this film as all the way through. It's very much a haunted house movie. Then it kind of all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's not a haunted house movie whatsoever. And then right at the end you're like, oh, was it a haunted house movie? Like, it's a bit of a confusing one, but I don't know why. I thoroughly enjoy it, and every once in a while I just put it on, and each time I watch it I like it. I love just sitting there going around this hospital. I don't know,
I think it ticks a lot of Gav boxes. It certainly appeals to you in the type of work that you do. It's got elements about mental health in it, which is something we're both interested in. It's got the stuff to do with what it's like with children pushing you to your limits, and that potentially affecting your mental health. You know, when you've got new children and you're arguing the apartment and things like that.
I hadn't
that element as well.
That didn't relate to me at all. I didn't notice that at all. Funny enough, even though the kids do push me to my maximum.
But also, like you touched on in the intro, it's got that isolation. It's one location. Yeah. It's a very small cast, and for me, and this is going to probably sound a bit weird, it's got a bit of, not so much The Thing, it's got more of an Alien vibe, the very first Alien vibe for me. For some reason, I can't explain why that is.
I'd say it's because it's the long corridors are kind of like they're sort of tunnels, aren't they, in a spaceship, I guess.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. It's very good camera work throughout this. Yeah, lots of long shots, ollies, and
it's just a really good film. I don't know why it is, and I thought, well, fuck it. I don't know at what point we'd probably cover this. So I was like, oh, fuck it, let's cover this. And I'd watched it not long ago, so I was just like, yeah, let's do that movie. I really enjoy it. So yeah, should we get into it?
Yeah, let's get into it then.
I love the sound design in this movie. There's so much at times, just creepy stuff, and there's a bit in it. Do you like the little voice in the head that comes up at times? It's very much like Donnie Darko.
Yeah, it's like a weird. Is that the one that says his name over now and again?
Yeah.
It's like, hello, Gordon. Hello, Gordon.
Gordy. Yeah. Gordon. But do you know what? I was watching the making of this, and that actor himself, that Scottish guy, he said, I think he's called Pete, maybe. He said that when he was up on the roof, like on the main roof bit, he went and looked over the side of the wall to see how far down, and he had a thing saying to him like, do it. And it wasn't like a commit suicide thing, it was more of like a challenge. You should do it, you'll be alright, go on, do it. And he said that he had that voice when he was there, and when he was also at the hospital. We're going to talk about the hospital, by the way, listeners. I'm going to bring it up more in the... it's a old, disused mental hospital, and we're going to bring it up in World of Strange, actually. We're just going to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about it now. But he said also, while he was there, he heard a voice when he was there saying, Pete, like, as in, like, you know, come over here, we need to talk to you. Not like a horrible thing, but it's more like a, come here, we need to speak to you. And he heard that voice. He looked around, yeah, no worries, and there was literally no one there. Which is creepy, isn't it?
Very creepy. Apparently, behind the scenes, and I hope I'm not treading on your toes too much here for World of the Strange, but apparently behind the scenes, there were a lot of creepy things that happened, because it was, like you said, a real life, once used, now disused mental hospital, and a lot of the props and weird photos on the wall were already there. They just reused them. There was a room full of strange photos and cutouts from magazines stuck on the wall. They just reused that because it looked creepy. And they said, like the director said, there were times where they'd see things at the corner of their eye, they'd hear voices, and maybe it was because they were working so hard making a movie in a very short amount of time. So I think it was quite a quick turnover. They only had the hospital for a couple of weeks, I think 2 or 3 weeks, but much like the characters, I suppose, they had a huge job to do to remove all the asbestos in that building in only 5 days or 6 days or something, didn't they? Yeah. So it's quite similar to that. So yeah, by the end of it, they were all going a bit crazy themselves, seeing and hearing things around this hospital.
What you saying? The story, the film plot?
No. Sort of. That's the crew.
Oh, well, they actually had to take some asbestos out themselves before they could shoot in there.
Oh no, sorry. The director was saying that they were freaking out in filming the movie because they were seeing and hearing strange things. So that ties in with what you said about the actor.
Okay.
I think there was just a weird vibe to the hospital anyway. There was certainly a creepy element to it.
I think though, like you're saying, they're quite tired and that sort of, it's going to have a creepy vibe anyway. I think you kind of open yourself up to hearing things and seeing things anyway though, especially if you tired them. I'm not saying that they didn't, but do you know what I mean? I'm not trying to be a pessimist on it. Anyway, so this film is such an interesting movie. It's just one huge misdirect, basically. You think it's one genre of film, and then it's another genre of film, like I was saying earlier.
And it's set in such a strange location in this huge building, which they call the Bat, don't they? Because it's got like the middle bit and then the two wings coming out, one for male and one for female patient in the past. You've got these old, almost torture devices, but they were used as therapy, like lobotomy devices, hydrotherapy, electroshock therapy. So you're in this really creepy, weird building.
And all that stuff was found there. They didn't plant any of it. It was already just there, sitting there.
Yeah.
They literally just like, great, here's the film set, let's go.
And it's self-contained because it was so big. They had their own church there, which they talk about in the film. Their own church. They've got their own cinema, their own theatre in there, and it's just a crazy building, really. And it's so weird. You just send these 5 or 6 blokes in to do a pretty standard, mundane, potentially job, but something in whether it's, I don't know, it's a bit of The Shining in some ways for me as well, because I feel kind of like the building is kind of affecting them as well. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, it definitely is. It's getting to them, and so basically the idea of this film is it's two guys at the beginning who are meeting up with like a health inspector or someone who's been put in charge to get a clean-up crew to go into this building and start cleaning up a certain area of it. Obviously, it can't be the whole building; that'd be too big. And they're like, okay, we've got you guys here. What do you reckon? And they're like, probably like 4 or 5 of us probably do it. We could do it in like 3 weeks or something. 3 weeks. So he goes, oh no, actually the other guy goes like, oh no, 2 weeks. And he goes, 2 weeks? Are you sure? And the other guy's like, yeah, 2 weeks we can do it. And that's a push. And later on he goes and says that we can do it in 1 week. So we have this pressure thing going up as well, even though they know they're going to make a load of money doing this job, but it's like real hard work and a real pressure thing going on. But basically that's the film. It's a clean-up crew right at the beginning of the film. They're like, oh, we size this job up, let's price it up, brilliant, let's go do the job. And it's just that you don't have much outside dynamic going on. You do have some flashback drama scenes, dramatic scenes, but you don't really have anything else going on so much. You kind of understand the story, what's going on between these characters, and I tell you what though, there's that one character which is chosen to be on the team who's now with the girlfriend living with her, who one of the other crew members was with. It's like, you should never do that. That's like the worst. An under pressure job. Don't do something like that. That's stupid.
Yeah, it's a volatile situation because they're all blokey blokes, aren't they? They're all a lot of manly men. There's a lot of testosterone. There's one of them going out with the other one's ex.
That's
one of them's
problem,
just had a
it?
Baby.
Yeah.
They've got pressure on to keep the job going. They've got pressure on that they reckon it'll take 2 weeks, but they've given themselves a week to clear it. There's also
it's Gordy. He actually just goes behind the guy's back and says, no, we can do it in 1 week.
And there's a bit of backstabbing as well, because they're talking about potentially firing one of the guys who's a bit of a loose cannon and bringing in a different guy. It's kind of stuff that's just real that like these sort of crews would deal with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. That is what that sort of stuff does happen and go on.
The younger guy is funny, the one who sort of brings his boombox in and he thinks it's going to be a lot of fun, and he brings in his boombox and they're like, what the hell are you doing? You can't have music blaring out while we do this job.
Yeah, stuff like that. And then he says to him, like, that all that sound waves are going to move the dust in the air, which is going to move the asbestos.
And you're going to get it all in your lungs, and you're going to...
Yeah, which could be if it is really booming, but at that level, no, it wouldn't have been too bad.
Yeah, so they do get offered, I think we didn't touch on this, $10,000 bonus if they get it done in 7 days. So that's why they're keen to do this.
But a job which they're like, we could do that in 3 weeks. Then to push that into 1, it's just like, that's insane. So, funny enough, I've kind of kept up, even though it says the days of what happens in it, I kind of wrote the days. So I was trying to keep up with their working schedule out of interest, just to see if they were trying to keep up. And they're just doing the regular days with normal lunch breaks. So I don't know how they can do 7 weeks of work into 1 week. You'd think they'd be working evenings as well.
Putting up the title cards throughout put pressure on me as an audience.
Did it make it tenser for you?
Yeah, because I was like, oh shit, now it's Wednesday, oh now it's Thursday, oh man, they've only got a few days left to finish this. And obviously as things get more intense and start falling apart, you're like, shit, what's going to happen on the last day? Kind of like in the Blair Witch, when they're like, the third night or whatever, and you're like, oh man, if the second night was that bad, what the fuck's going to happen in the third night? They discuss the asylum and why it closed. They talk about the fact there were weird orgies, babies being killed, there was incest stuff going on there. A family tried to sue the asylum, which is why it got shut down, and there were budget cuts. There were weird experiments and too many lobotomies. So it completely closed down in the 80s, and that's the reason why the asylum eventually closed down. So there's a weird history to this place.
That's the legit history. It actually shut down in 1982. So
yeah, and that's kind of true of the
it is. Yeah,
it's kind of weird, isn't it, that they've
just gone to this place, use everything which is there, and tell the backstory of this. It is in a controlled environment.
Yeah, because I worried about, well, not worried because they've made the film, but you worry that the floor's going to collapse or there's a bit that isn't safe for them, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. The place is ruined. The fact that they got this new kid there who's new on the block doing a job, it's like, why'd you, again, you've pushed this job from 3 weeks to 1 week and you've got a fresh kid there, doesn't know what he's doing. It's like, well, that's probably a shit idea too. Yeah.
Well, he reminded me of me when I come and help you guys out sometimes with the carpet cleaning. When I sort of come along and I've got my music and I'm like, all right, guys, let's do this.
Yeah.
And I'm just sort of like having a laugh with it, and you're like, for fuck's sake, what's this twat doing? One of the guys decides to stay behind one night because he's found a room full of cassette tapes. And
he gets addicted to them, though. It's kind of, it turns basically into Ethan Hawke in Sinister.
It's really cool, this element, and it's like a tangent, almost like a murder mystery where he's listening.
He starts for this one particular case. He gets really involved with, and it's a schizophrenic. So he got this whole. When he keeps going off it, it's almost like a drug. He's like, oh, I'm going to have to go check the generator again because he can't do it.
He's lying to them, isn't he? He's like, oh, I've got to go off for a bit.
Yeah, check the generator so he can listen to tapes. And he's getting real clickies. He's listening to it. And he got this woman talking a doctor talking to a woman on tapes. And all of a sudden the voices change. And the doctor's like, so who am I talking to now? And it's got all this going on while we're then cutting to them still working in this massive building. It's so... This is why I like this movie. It's so brilliantly put together, and it's so creepy, the soundscape and everything. Continue. So
the title of the film, Session 9, comes from these tapes. So
yeah,
and again, pressure, and not just the days ticking down, but he's listening to session 1, session 2, session 3, and as we approach session 9, that what we're hearing on the tape gets more and more sinister and crazy. And this woman on the tape's got voices that she puts on. She sounds like a child. And then she sounds like almost like a demon on some of the times. And she's talking about, oh, we don't want you to speak to this person who lives in us. It's a kind of like a Split with all the multiple personalities.
Yeah.
Really cool, though. And because quite cheap to do because you're not seeing anything. You're just listening to this voice on a tape. So it's quite cheap for them to do as a film. But it's all about the actor, his reaction.
Yeah, Mike is the character.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It is really good. You find out that the new kid actually has a fear of the dark, so that's why he can't go down. He can't go down to the generator to see what's going on. That's why Mike goes down and finds the tapes. You just get this at the beginning. This is basically the first day, and I was like, okay, then boom, day 2.
We get a little bit of an altercation where one of the chaps pretends he sort of grabs the younger guy and says, "This is how they do a lobotomy." And he's got like a lobotomy.
He shows him at break time, doesn't he? It's one of those actual tools to use.
And he says they drive it through your eye into this bit of the brain, and sort of they talk about that, and that.
Yeah, really painless as stuff, Yeah.
That comes back later on, unfortunately. Yeah, it's kind of a hard one to talk about because it just builds and builds and builds. They're trying to go about their normal job, but slowly, individually and privately, they are all kind of falling apart, really.
They are a little bit, not all of them. Some are. I like at getting back to that lobotomy bit. It's in the lunchtime that Mike calls the kid. Jeff, by the way, he calls him Princess at one point, and he says Princess, and that's because he's listening to the tapes, and one of the schizophrenic voices is by Princess.
That's right.
And I was just like, oh, I love the fact he's just sneaking into his psyche already. It's like day 2, and it's already like he's getting hooked. It's getting into him like a drug into his brain, rooting into it, you know.
We find out that Gordon, the reason he's starting to act a bit more and more crazy is because he's just had a baby, and he's
very tired, isn't he?
Yeah. There's a bit more to come from him in a minute.
Yeah,
but
he's the only backstory we get, really, don't we? Really.
Yeah. Well, we get to Wednesday, and the cleanup's
hang on. Day 2, you still got Hank finds a load of coins. That comes into play.
Oh, hang on, I forgot about this.
Hank finds a load of coins when he's just putting out some bricks, and he's like, "Oh shit!" And he's a sort of character. If this was remade by A-listers, he would be Matthew McConaughey. You know, he's kind of got this sort of cheekiness about him, a kind of good-looking type of dude. But this comes back into play because he goes back for them later on.
Well, it turns out, if we can spoil it a little bit, that the coins that he's finding coming out of this wall, if I'm right in what I assume that this is meant to be, is on the other side of that wall is the route that was where they cremated the bodies.
Yeah, so it's basically everyone's possessions who have died.
Yeah, and so they're all in
dark.
It's because he starts finding like gold teeth, and he finds an eyeball, like a glass eye, and it's like, holy shit, that is really dark, man. They just burnt all these bodies.
And that's just the stuff, yeah. Also in day 2, you got Gordy rings Wendy. That must be his ex. We see basically Gordy outside talking to presumably his wife, because obviously he's had a kid and stuff. You see him talking about that. I'm just saying that because that's going to come to play later on.
So that's where he sat on the tree, isn't it?
And
the young kid comes up to him.
Comes up to him, and talks to him. So thank you for the job. That's his nephew, I think. So yeah, he comes talking to him. So hold on to that he's chatting away to her and stuff. He also sees Phil, which is the redhead, Mr. Red. What's he called?
The Caruso.
The Caruso. He sees the Caruso chatting to a couple of hoodlums, and he's just been, what the fuck's that? And then that's kind of that. But then that evening, Hank goes back to get the coins, doesn't he? Listening to jazz that make Clint Eastwood very happy.
Yeah, he's sort of like ding, 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 ding.
It's such Clint Eastwood jazz. There's a certain jazz I listen to Jazz FM loads, and there's every once in a while you get the old Clint Eastwood style jazz on, you know. But there's someone there. Someone or something is there, and you only see the camera is the point of view of the person, whoever is there, and he sees them, and then goes to black. We don't see anymore.
If you came in the room at that point, you'd think you were watching a slasher film. So there's elements of slasher in this as well.
This movie does sort of do that, yeah, definitely. Day 3.
Very good.
Day 3. What's going on? Day 3.
It's a Wednesday now.
Day 3 in the Big Brother house.
D3.
D3, yeah.
So one of the chaps hasn't turned up for work on day 3.
Yes, that is obviously Hank, who was looking for the coins last night. So something happens
to him. They call his girlfriend. She says, well, he's left for Miami.
Yeah, he said he found his treasure and he's off to Miami.
They're like, what the hell? It's pretty weird.
The Caruso, is quite happy by this because he's just like, okay, I'll talk to you later, to his ex-girlfriend. He's thinking, nice, I'm getting in there. He's straight in there and he's like, yeah, I'll chat to you later. Oh, you're sad, are you? I'll come round. I'll bring a bottle of wine.
I'll give you some treasure later. Yeah, so they bring in a replacement guy, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he doesn't come in yet. They speak of a replacement guy, but Gordy's a bit like, Yeah, well, okay, he's a little bit suspect on this because he knew the Caruso wasn't really a fan of him. I was going to let the dog out, Dan. You talk to the audience. I'm just going to let the dog out.
So he starts getting a bit. You can see he's physically. There's something physically strained about him, to the point where you even see his fingernails are bleeding, which is strange. And again, this comes back later on. He goes wandering around the grounds, and we probably should have mentioned earlier on. I said it was self-contained, this asylum.
Yeah.
But there's also it's got its own cemetery and graveyard, hasn't it? As well as its own church, etc., chapel.
Yeah.
And he starts wandering around the grounds, and he comes across some unmarked graves as well. He chats to his nephew and says, I'm exhausted at the moment. So there's a little bit of a chat there. So we're seeing him start to unravel a little bit here. And then more tapes get listened to. And the conversation gets more and more intense. On the tape, the woman being interviewed is being asked about the scars on her body and where they came from. And we get more weird kid voices on the tape, and the kids are making strange. It's almost like, and again, there's another element to this movie. So we've got haunted house, isolation, slasher bits.
Yeah, totally.
And thriller, mental health thriller. But now we've got on this again, this little section. This is almost like an Exorcist type movie, a possession movie, because we're listening to these tapes. And how many times have we watched a movie where there's a tape of a kid who's been interviewed and they've got a different voice? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is happening now.
The sound design's really good in this. It's a real slow burn as well, this film, and everything is just sort of going. Like, you got Gordy's got not much trust with the Caruso. Because I'm going to have to do it every time now. I just like saying the word Caruso. It does kind of flow off your mouth, all right. Yeah.
Caruso.
Hey, Caruso, come over here. Yes, and so he doesn't have his trust with Gordy. Doesn't have his trust with him much now because he saw them with the hoodlums. Then all of a sudden Hank hasn't turned up, so he's a bit what's going on there? Then you got like the fact that he's had some emotional talks about this stuff at home, and he's really tired. And old Caruso is saying to him like, you've got to you're just tired, man. You just need to like calm down and just chill out and get some more rest and stuff. But obviously got the hassle of his job on the go as well. So it's really interesting.
Well, Gordon reveals
you don't know what's going to happen at this point in the movie. You really have no idea where this is going to go, which is great.
Well, because it's so well acted, for me anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was really sucked into the story, and to the point that when Gordon reveals that he hit Wendy,
and he's sleeping in his car,
and he was sleeping in his car, and he tells the story, you're like, holy shit, man, that's actually really bad. Like, what's all this? What's going on now? And he says she spilt hot water on him. He slapped her. He really regrets it. That's why he was begging her on the phone earlier, sort of saying, please, I love you. But obviously he's hearing voices, and he keeps replaying the incident of slapping Wendy. He dreams about blood, and he hears the voice say,
"Do it."
The voice says, "Do it, Gordon. Do it."
Yeah,
and he's got blisters all over his legs, hasn't he? But that's because of the hot water.
Yeah, and he's also he's got a cut as well, which is sort of diseased, and so he could be getting hallucinations from that as well. So it's a bit like that this guy's cracking up though.
His fingernails are bleeding. He's potentially breathing in asbestos as well.
Yeah,
it's not a good look. Not a good look. Thursday rolls around, and this is where the new guy turns up.
It's day 4. Yeah.
So it's like new guy shows up, and he's going to be helping Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Well, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've put a note here that says sound plays a big role in this film.
Yes, absolutely.
If you're going to watch this, I watched this luckily with headphones on in a dark,
nice.
as I quite often like to do.
Nice.
Doesn't always work with some films. For example, Shark Exorcist. Pointless watching that. I could have watched that mute, to be honest. But with something like this, and it was an accident really, the sound design was incredible. So, and I bought some swanky new headphones actually. My sister got me some vouchers for Christmas, so I bought some really cool headphones. So I was watching this in a darkened room, and it was really that voice comes right around behind you, and all the strange noises, and even the score is it's just very jarring and strange. It makes you feel like you're experiencing some of the strange because they start questioning themselves. Especially Gordon, and you start like really, I don't know, it's just really well done, really well made actually.
It's a really well crafted, put together film. Everybody's done a really good job. Like everybody has done a good job. The acting's phenomenal, the script's phenomenal, the location, just the way it's shot, the sound design, directed. It's just a well good movie.
Well, this day, when this new chapter turns up, this is when they start gossiping behind each other's backs.
That's what I was about to say. Gordy comes up and he overhears Phil telling Mike
Gordon hit his wife
about
he's a liability.
Gordy hit his wife, blah 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 blah. And then they pretend that they're just talking about Jeff, the new kid, and he's going to be all right, blah 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 blah, all that sort of stuff. So Gordy's straight away like really mistrusting people, more so.
Now, considering he's been missing for a few days and he's in Miami, the nephew, the younger chap, finds Hank staring out the window, doesn't he?
With his sunglasses on, his jazz headphones still playing away.
And he's repeating, what does he keep repeating?
Here?
Yeah, what are you doing here? What are you doing? And it's really fucking weird. So he runs out.
Well, you've got to think also, that's the last thing that he said as well.
Oh, he did. He said it in the corridor, didn't he? What are you doing here? Oh, I didn't
so
put that
together. So it's kind of
stuck
on loop, isn't it?
So he runs out and he tells the others, Hank's here, and they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? They don't believe Hank's
this
in Miami.
Kid. Yeah.
So they go in, and of course Hank's not there. Why would he be there?
They hear footsteps, so they go chasing after him.
So they do split up a little bit, and they go chasing off into pairs, don't they?
Mike, as soon as he can, he's like, screw this, I'm off to go listen to Session 9.
Yeah, I know. He's like, fuck all this. I've got to listen to Session 9 tape. I've got through the last 8 of them. He's listened to 8 tapes.
He's basically
in 4
you,
days.
Isn't he?
He's me. What? Because he's got to finish it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. He is. He's gone off to listen to Shark Exorcist 3.
I started the other night watching a movie called The Cell, John Cusack and Samuel Jackson. And I got...
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
I got about 4 minutes into it and turned off, said, I'm not ever going to watch this.
It's one of my favourite Stephen King books of recent years.
I was glad you didn't say movie.
I enjoyed the film, but it wasn't very well made.
I couldn't. The way it's put together, I thought straight away from the beginning, the way it's shot and the camera and everything, I was just like, what the hell? I don't know anything about his character. I don't feel anything for his character, John Cusack. And then it's just all starting straight into action. It's like, what the fuck? And it's just like, no, I'm turning this off now because this is not how you.
I feel like that was just to go on a very slight tangent, because Stephen King does always seem to come up on every episode. But I feel like that was the last movie made of his films that wasn't very good before this new King is King resurgence.
Yeah, well, it helps in Netflix behind them, doesn't it? So.
Yeah, of course. So yes, Session 9 tape.
Yeah, he listens to that. And
what do we hear on this?
I can't remember. What do we hear on that?
I can't remember either, actually. I know there's lots of... Gordon hears lots more voices calling out to him. And the nephew, Jeff, is exploring tunnels, and the lights start going out. Now, as we know, he is afraid of the dark. He's got an actual phobia. So he starts running, and there's that terrible scene where all the lights start going out.
For one, as he runs, it's like all behind him, like click.
He
click,
really screams
click,
terror.
Click, and he goes into darkness, and the camera's like just looking down. And he's running towards the camera base, and all the lights are going out behind him. It's a really good shot. And when he finally gets outside, though, because he does find somewhere to some air, and as you look up, the asbestos is just in the air, and he's just breathing it all in, and it's just like, oh man. Yeah, considering it's quite
Hank in his pants.
Well, considering it's quite an open, wide place, it's quite a claustrophobic movie at the same time.
That's why it reminds me of Alien, because it's such a big ship, but it's all corridors and air vents. Yeah, we see Hank in his pants at one point, don't we?
I I think
in the tunnel.
Possibly, maybe, I don't know. Gordy finds room 444, which earlier on he was sitting next to a tree when he's on the phone call to Wendy, and just below him was a gravestone and it said 444.
Ooh.
I don't know what this has. I couldn't find any more into it, so I was like, well, that must mean something. That's the dog outside barking.
Jeff gets back to the radio, and he radios in, "Where are you guys?" He gets killed. We don't see who by. It's quite good at keeping you guessing because it doesn't show you anything really.
Well, what does Gordy find in room 444? He finds pictures of his family on the wall.
Oh shit!
With blood all over them, stuck on the wall. Loads of little, like a collage.
Now that's the room where I was saying at the beginning, where a lot of the pictures actually were really there when they went to film this.
Yeah,
and they just left that room looking that way.
And that's when Phil walks in, and that's why it's a misdirect, and then it kind of cuts. And that's when you got Jeff running back from the building to the van, and he's trying to breathe and stuff, and that's why you say he gets on the walkie-talkie. Yeah.
Actually, some of this does remind me of The Thing, because there's bits where people walk in a room, but you're not sure who it is, and
yeah, you don't know who to trust. It's almost a murder mystery type thing, like The Thing, yeah, or like The Hateful Eight, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The new guy, when he shows up, actually he doesn't get there till Friday. The new guy, and I've put here, he looks like a young Jack Nicholson. Don't know if you thought that, but I thought the new guy reminded me a bit of a young Jack Nicholson, his acting especially.
That's Larry Fessenden. He's a very well-known filmmaker. He does a lot of indie stuff. He does a lot of Ty West stuff. Helped Ty West get on the go.
Well, it's interesting that I recognise some Shining elements, and I thought he looked a bit like even if I go on his IMDb picture now, oh my god, he looks exactly like
version. Yeah.
Here's Johnny boy.
Yeah, no, he's a very respected horror producer, filmmaker, and stuff like that.
And he was good in this because he was a new bit of fresh, a fresh character thrown in the mix, and he didn't really seem to give a shit. You know, he didn't know the situation, he didn't know the pressure they're all under, and he just sort of pops up like, "Hey, let's pull this asbestos down and get paid."
Yeah.
He doesn't see, when he shows up, he doesn't see that there's a bloody handprint on the van, which is, we assume, from where Jeff was killed earlier.
Yeah, and upstairs, Gordy finds Hank dead, wrapped in plastic.
That is pretty fucking weird.
And then he finds Phil there saying that he found him like it, and to take a look at him, and he has been like, it looks like he's been lobotomized. Like,
yeah, because he's got these spikes sticking out of his eye, hasn't he?
Yeah, and he's still alive, isn't he?
Oh, lobotomy was pretty brutal, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that in World of Strange.
We then start having this really paranoid, and God, if you were on drugs at this point watching this film, because this scene now where it gets really paranoid, and Gordon starts questioning
this is
whether he's awake or not.
Yeah, well, that's where we find out Gordy's actually alone. Phil's not even standing there.
Yeah,
and that's when Larry Fessenden turns up, the new guy, and he grabs him and just lobotomizes him, doesn't he?
It doesn't last very long. This bit, it reminds me of a much more serious version of that scene in Doghouse. In Severance, sorry, where Danny Dyer has that paranoid moment where he sees himself and then he sees himself and then he sees himself. Because you're not quite sure what's happening, and that, as I said when we reviewed that, they did that really, really well, and I feel like that was done here really well as well. Phil's dead, we find out.
Gordy goes and kills Mike.
Yeah. Jeff's already been killed. We know that because he got killed at the van earlier. And it turns out that actually Gordon didn't slap his wife. He killed his wife.
Yeah.
He killed his dog.
Yeah.
And he killed his baby.
Yeah.
And my next
find
word,
this out
I've
with
just
sound effects, by the way, and it's horrible, isn't it?
I've written the word after. I've written here, he killed his wife, dog, and capital letters baby, and then after that I've written fucking hell.
It's crafted so well because the camera pans over the montage of family pictures while we got the sound design going to us, like a baby's been killed and stuff like that. And it's just like, oh my god. Yeah.
So he's been talking to his wife, who's, by the way, another Shining connection. His wife's called Wendy.
And she's dead.
His wife's called Wendy.
The whole time. Yeah. And the whole time.
When he was on that mobile phone earlier, Gav,
he's not talking to anybody.
No one there.
And he does that a couple of times. Yeah.
Yeah, and in fact, Jeff suspected that, didn't he? Because he didn't think it was a signal or something, and he thought, that's strange how he's on his mobile phone. Don't think anyone's... Yes, so we get this great sweeping shot over the top of the building, and we just hear the voice on the tape, Simon's voice on the tape talking to Gordon, we presume. So Gordon's killed everybody?
Yeah, so this is it. Gordon's killed everyone because of psychotic behaviour, which is crazy. Obviously, he went crazy, he killed his wife originally, then just lost it there and killed them. But then at the end, we got a voice on tape. So who is the connection with Mary, the actual one who's on the Session 9 tapes? What is the connection with him?
So I just think that it's, as is often the case with mental health, a combination of things here. Obviously, killing your wives, it's never a good thing to do.
No.
So that, obviously, he's over the edge. He's holding that inside. He's gone off into this crazy, isolated world of asbestos where the pressure's on to get it sorted in 7 days with a testosterone pot of blokes that are all gossiping behind each other's backs. There's a bit of tension. And then these tapes are getting listened to, which just push you over the edge even more, to the point where you're so sleep deprived and all that other stuff I've just mentioned is going on. You don't know what's going on. You end up killing everybody. And it's, for me, I need to go back and watch this film as soon as I can, really, because it's going to change. It's one of those rare movies where you're going to go back and it's going to change, kind of Sixth Sense. You're just going to change what you think about it.
Yeah, because
especially knowing who it is.
I watched it knowing that. Exactly. So I was really like watching it. So when he's on the phone chatting to his wife, I'm like, I know he's not chatting to his wife, so I'm just like, oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah, and don't forget, this is my first watch, so I had no idea of that. So we both watched this and got very different things out of this, because I had your first viewing. You know, I've never seen it. The story sucked me in so well, and it's quite a slow film, but it really kept ticking along so well. It was acted so well that it really sucked me in. And then the end of it, I was just like, whoa, what the... But also, it left a rather unpleasant taste in my mouth, because it's not a very nice film either. It's not a sort of an upbeat... No. You know, it deals with some quite bad things.
I still quite enjoy it, watching it. I'm quite, every once in a while, I'm like, oh, yes,
I would say it's a sleeper movie, really. If you don't already know, I mean, it's a thumbs up from me.
Good.
And I assume it's a thumbs up from you, Gav.
Indeed.
It's one of those ones that you've probably seen it in a second-hand store or a charity shop and thought, it's got usually got a picture of a wheelchair on the front, an empty wheelchair in an old corridor, an old room. It doesn't look very much. Session 9, it doesn't tell you a lot. Like I said, quite bad marketing, I think.
Yeah.
But a really hidden gem. I love it when I discover these. So thank you for that, Gav.
You're welcome. And anybody else who hasn't seen it, you're welcome.
It's only just over an hour and a half, so it's fairly short. There's a lot of weird stuff. It's probably worth watching the making of. It's on YouTube, isn't it, Gav? There's a lot of weird stuff behind the scenes as well.
Yeah.
It's quite a low-budget guerrilla shoot. One of my favourite bits of trivia from it is when they finished filming, one of the guys, the director, wrote on the wall, he graffitied on the wall in big red letters, "We did as best as we could."
Brilliant. I think that should be on that note. There we go.
We reviewed it. We did as best as we could.
We did as best as we could.
Great movie, Session 9. Check it out, guys. Really good. Thank you very much for that, Gav.
You're welcome.
Right, it is time to travel back to 1985.
I'm so excited for this.
It's your birthday, so pop this little hat on.
Ooh, it's a bit tight.
It's all right. Not on. It goes on your head, you silly Billy. Pop this on as well.
Okay.
Let's get in. You ready?
Yep. Ooh, tight.
Right.
Ooh.
Machine, take us to 1985.
Let's go. Whoa! What's this machine?
This is my time machine.
Your time machine?
Yeah. For the next 5 minutes, we are going to be the Time Team.
The Time Team! Whoa!
What's this? Look at that!
Look at that!
Oh, he's been dead 100 years. Look at that!
Look at that, it's the Statue of Liberty coming out of the sand.
Oh, there's a dinosaur!
Oh my god, look at that! It's something else.
Oh. Here we are.
That was
mid 80s.
It's always interesting, isn't it, when you're in your little chute, slipping down the tunnel.
Yeah, the time tunnel. It's a bit stinky. So we are here in the mid 80s, 1985, Gavin.
I'm so excited. Tell me what's happening.
You were 8 years old, I believe.
Oh, I was.
You were. Oh. So very quickly before we get into horror, because that's what we travel back in time for. Let's have a quick look at what was going on in the world. We've got a few little things happened. A cartoon called Thundercats hit television.
Nice.
I was a big fan. One, that one
and
was.
So I was 8. Oh, yeah, nice.
Still a big fan of that. To be honest with you, it was a great little show.
No, good.
Also this year, we're very lucky. Well, we hadn't got it yet in the UK, but in America, the Nintendo Entertainment System launched in 1985.
Have you seen the size of those now?
Yeah, you can buy the mini version of it now with like 80 games on it or something.
It's literally just something you could hold in your hand.
Yeah, it's tiny. Something else which came out this year, which we all had. Toys. Transformer toys came out in 1985 in the UK and the US.
Really?
Transformers.
I thought that before then, but yeah, I was a fan of the old Transformers.
Robots in disguise. Robots in disguise. I used to love those. Casually this year, Michael Jackson decided, I'm just going to buy the Beatles back catalogue.
Oh shit, he did, didn't he?
He did that. That's pretty weird of him to do.
Well, got the money, I suppose.
Yeah, he's got the money. What else was he going to buy with it? Let's leave it there. Another Michael, another MJ. In fact, Michael Jordan, a little-known basketballer, became Rookie of the Year this year. So this is where it really started taking off for that young man. Obviously, Michael Jordan went on to be one of the most celebrated and famous athletes in the world. Starring in the classic Space Jam. I couldn't give a straight face for that one, sorry.
Space Jam, which is kind of weird. I was in a Primark the other day, which, if you don't know, in the UK is a kind of cheaper clothing store, and there's loads of Space Jam stuff. And it's like, why are you promoting Space Jam? There's literally like 2 or 3 Space Jam items of clothing. It's like, that's really weird.
It's weird, man.
I think there's even a towel, or it's like something, or duvet
Space
cover.
Jam towel.
It was really weird. It's
in the year 2020.
Space Jam. It's like, why have you got Space Jam?
Fucking hell.
Strange.
Talking of sports stars, a young man became the youngest boy to win Wimbledon at the age of just 17, and his name was Boris Becker.
Oh yeah.
17 years old, he won Wimbledon. That's mental.
That is pretty insane.
That's good, isn't it? They closed Route 66 this year as well, sadly.
Oh, I thought they're still open now. So
you couldn't do the straight drive around Route 66 after 1985. And finally, before we look at films, a little tricycle, the Sinclair C5 trike bike thing.
Yes.
That came out in 1985.
There's one in Farnham, and they have it outside, like computer stuff. They take old PCs in, I think. It's just sitting outside.
It didn't take off, obviously.
No.
Just like the Segway, that didn't take off. No one really bought one. Okay, so let's have a look at films. Before horror, just to let you know what was out. Steven Spielberg dropped The Colour Purple on us this year. Won lots of Oscars.
Never seen it. Whoopi Goldberg in it.
Yeah. A View to a Kill was released. That's the Bond movie of the year.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah. Mad Max 3, Beyond the Thunderdome. We had a couple of Steve Guttenberg classics this year. Last episode we talked about Police Academy. Well, this year we got Police Academy 2, Their First Assignment.
And I'm going to go with Cocoon.
Correct.
Hey, there's not many other movies I can think of Steve Guttenberg in.
Well, tying into our next review, we got 2 Stallone movies this year.
Ooh, so Cobra?
No, we had Rambo 2.
Oh, okay.
Or First Blood Part 2. And Rocky 4 with Dolph Lundgren. I must break him.
That's funny, it's Rambo 2, though, as we're speaking about Rambo in the next film we review.
Indeed. And the last movie I must touch on is Back to the Future, which was dropped in 1985 as well. What a great, great movie that is. But we are here for horror, Gav. I didn't build this time machine just to talk about Back to the Future. Get it? I built this so that we could go back in time and talk about the horror and what came out horror-wise. So I hope you're ready for what came out in 1985's horror.
I've got a strap on. I'm strapped in.
I just spat water all over my computer. Hang on a minute. I've got to put this out. Sorry, listeners. By computer, I mean my dashboard of my time machine. You idiot. I can't believe you made me spit water.
I didn't know that was going to be your reaction.
I didn't expect you to talk about it. Right, okay. So, oh God, it's all over the screen. Right, Reanimator.
Yeah.
We've covered that one, haven't we?
Yeah, we did a review on that.
Good movie. Great movie. Another one we covered, one of your favourites, Fright Night.
Yeah, good movie. We've covered that as well. Yeah.
All of these coming out in the same year, mind. Return of the Living Dead.
We haven't covered that. Yeah,
haven't covered that. Covered that.
Yeah. I'm liking all these movies so far.
A Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one.
Brilliant, liking that. That came out, I thought it was 84.
Sorry, I do apologise. It wasn't the first one. It was the second one, the gay one.
I like the gay one.
Yes, I do. We both really like that one. We should probably talk about that one at some point. But yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge.
Yeah.
We also got a Romero, Day of the Dead.
Yep.
Yeah. Another one we covered, Vampire Boobs in Space, also known as Life Force.
I was about to say, I don't remember Vampire Boobs in Space. I'm sure I'd remember that film. But yes, that was those cracking Norks in Life Force.
Fucking hell. Great movies. Well, really off the wall.
Right.
Another movie, cult movie, which really is on the list of ones we must cover at some point, and that's The Stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So far, lots of great movies here. We had a werewolf movie this year. We covered it. Silver Bullet.
Yeah, good movie.
Demons.
Yeah, cool.
We thought it was over, but it's not over because Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning, came out this year.
Nice.
I believe, what one was that? Is that the one where it's not Jason?
Are they doing one like every year at this point?
They were pretty much knocking them out every year, just like Police Academy movies. Another movie which we covered, Phenomena.
Should just had Jason going to Police Academy.
That would have been brilliant, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You'd have had Jonesy sort of going, shh, 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 ha, 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 kill, kill, kill. Like that, and then he'd have been like getting really angry with him. Phenomena came out this year as well, which we covered, which is really good movie.
Yeah.
So far, lots and lots of ticks. Another movie which I think you like, a sequel, another werewolf movie, Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf.
I've never seen it.
What's the one you like out of the Howlings?
It's the murder mystery one, so it's like number 5.
Oh, okay.
But the last time I watched it, I actually kind of thought it sucked a bit, actually.
Well, Jim Carrey tried his hand at horror in 1985 with the vampire comedy Once Bitten.
Oh.
Not very good. Don't worry about it.
No.
And other films of note, I think there's quite a few other ones, and like there's Transylvania 65000, which isn't very good. You watched that recently, I believe. Nail Gun Massacre. I think the only other one really for me is Teen Wolf, which is more of a family comedy, but I really like that film. And the very first House movie came out as well. House is a weird franchise.
It is.
Like each movie is completely separate almost from the last one. You know, they're like self-contained.
I had them on VHS when the video rental store went down. I went and got them all, but yeah, I don't remember them. I kind of.
I've still got them on VHS, and on the side, when you put them together, it's got the hand on the side.
That's right. Yeah.
So, what a fantastic year for horror. You know, those first sort of 10 I reeled off are some of the sort of staples of horror, really. You had a very good Nightmare on Elm Street sequel, a good Jason sequel. You had a Howling sequel. You had Silver Bullet, which I've discussed as being one of my favourite werewolf movies of all time. You had Life Force, you know, and Fright Night, two fantastic vampire movies, one very weird and one quite traditional. Reanimator. Return of the Living Dead, so if you want zombies. And you had Demons, which is one of my go-to movies. You know, I think we watched that together last time you were here. So just a great year for horror, Gav.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. Yeah.
What a year.
85, yeah.
We're getting right into those franchises now, aren't we? Where some of them, we're getting to like parts 5 and 4 of some of these. So
I know at some point we're gonna have to get into the 90s. We're gonna end up having like Scream coming out and stuff. It's gonna be funny, man.
Actually, going to be very interesting to watch the resurgence of horror.
It is, because we know it all went down and it came back. So we're going to watch in the 90s it dipped down like hip hop, kind of, you know.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be like the early 90s is going to be very tame, and then we're going to pick up around about the mid 90s through to like 1988. 99 with Blair Witch, and then
interesting.
Wow, it's just going to be interesting.
All right, well, let's get out of here because I want to get back to some John J. Rambo.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
The Caruso. Let's ready?
Let's get out of here.
John Rambo, a drifter, just passing through their town.
Morning! Headed north or south?
North.
Now jump in. I'll make sure you're heading the right direction, huh?
You got someplace I can eat around here?
There's a diner about 30 miles up the highway.
Is there any law against me getting something here?
Yeah, me. I want you to book this gentleman for vagrancy, resisting arrest, carrying a concealed weapon.
They knew he was innocent.
Starting to dislike you. A lot.
And they didn't give a damn.
That's okay, Warren. Don't worry about the soap. He's tough. Just save him. Try.
Don't move. I don't want you to cut your own throat.
John Rambo. One man who's been pushed too far.
You're finished! You've gone as far as you're gonna go! Heading straight for the top. Right on top. There's no way out of here except through us.
He was hunted. Trapped.
There he is! On the cliff!
And forced to fight back.
Don't push it. Don't push it. I'll give you a war you won't believe.
Teasel, you and all your men couldn't handle him before. Now, what makes you think you can handle him now?
Because God knows what damage he's prepared to do.
You don't seem to want to accept the fact that you're dealing with an expert in guerrilla warfare.
Are you telling me that 200 men against your boy is a no-win situation for us?
You send that many, don't forget one thing. A good supply of body bags.
Sylvester Stallone. This time, he's fighting for his life. First Blood.
First Blood from 1982. A veteran Green Beret is forced by a cruel sheriff and his deputies to flee into the mountains and wage an escalating one-man war against his pursuers. This stars...
Cruel sheriff.
A cruel sheriff. This stars a young Sylvester Stallone.
You know what I'm saying, you know, I was just starting out, I wanted to make my way, you know, I didn't just want to start a movie, you know, I wanted to write it, I wanted to write, to do the screenplay, well, you know, I wanted to do all of it, you know.
This was originally a novel by Michael Cazole. Is that right?
It is, Michael Cazole. Well, actually, David Morrell wrote the novel. Michael Cazole adjusted it with a screenplay. And actually, the final script was overseen and written by Mr. Stallone himself.
It's interesting where early on he wrote these things, like when he was very desperate, he wrote Rocky.
I know. And you know, Rocky, if there was no Rocky, we wouldn't have Jackie Chan, because, I'm sorry, a bit of a tangent here, but obviously I'm a big Jackie Chan fan, but Jackie Chan gave up. He made a couple of movies in the 80s in America that didn't do well at all. I think the Cannonball Run being one of them, and one or two others. And he pretty much had given up on trying to crack America. And he thought, you know what, I'm done. I'm just going to go back to China, go back to Hong Kong, and I'm going to make loads of Chinese movies, and that's it. I'm never going to crack America. I'm never going to be a big name. And then he watched Rocky, and he said, watching the underdog fight and train and go against all the odds made him want to do it all over again. So he did it, and next thing you know, he's Jackie Chan, and everyone knows him.
Yeah.
And he ended up being very good friends with Stallone. Him and Stallone are very good friends now. They own Planet Hollywood together, and
I didn't know he was doing Planet Hollywood. I thought it was just Bruce Willis and Arnie.
Jackie Chan, Arnie, Bruce Willis, Stallone. There's a few of them. That's where I met Jackie, in Planet Hollywood in Leicester Square many years ago.
Was that when you were cottaging?
Yes, we just bumped into him in the men's toilets.
Fumbled into him.
I said, "Oh, Rumble in the Bronx."
Ooh.
And he said, "No, just Rush Hour." And I said, "Oh, Fist of Fury." Oh no, that was Bruce Lee.
No.
Anyway, let's get back to this Stallone in First Blood.
After the novel was written, this was it was adapted, wasn't it, early on to a movie, but then it kind of did the rounds and nobody wanted to do it, or nobody wanted to touch it, and loads of different actors had a go on it, I think, was the what went on.
Is this the one? I think this is the one, if I remember rightly. And we may have talked about this before, where one of the versions of it was that it was going to be zombie.
No, this is big. I think someone else wanted to come involved on it, and that was their idea.
Yeah, to turn it into like zombie soldiers back from the war, but
that wasn't. I'm pretty sure that was, you know, who they got in to be the general, wherever he is, the main. Rambo.
Oh yeah, the main guy, his boss.
He came in at the last second. What it ended up being was that I think they asked not Martin Sheen. Rest in peace. No, he didn't die, did he? Kirk Douglas is what I'm thinking of. Who was it? It was in Apocalypse Now.
Oh, what's his name?
Martin Sheen.
What? No. Oh, I thought you meant
We're not doing too well here.
Marlon Brando, I thought you meant.
I think we should stop podcasting. We've got too many ums here of not knowing anything
we're
talking
Marlon
about.
Brando. Did you not mean Marlon Brando?
No, I didn't. Oh, maybe it was Marlon Brando. No, it wouldn't be Marlon Brando. They got someone to come in and they had these really wild ideas. I feel like it was Martin Sheen, to be honest with you, of how they wanted to play that character. And I'm sure it might have been the zombie thing came from that. I don't know. Yeah, something weird came about from it, yeah.
Well, it was directed by Ted Kotcheff, who also went on randomly to direct Weekend at Bernie's, and also directed another film that we covered for our Australian episode, and he directed Wake in Fright. Yes. And that's very interesting that he directed two very gritty films that touch on mental health and abuse and even PTSD, maybe even in Wake in Fright.
Wake in Fright is just going into insanity. It's a hell dive into insanity. That's just a fucking crazy movie. Do listen to the review of that, people. Have a little listen of that one. It's got Donald Pleasance in it. Donald Pleasance gets bummed. That's
I think he might do the bumming. Doesn't he?
Well, we don't know because the other guy whops his dick, doesn't he?
Right. So moving forward, this starts off like a late 70s, early 80s slasher.
Maybe they both did the bumming, to be honest with you.
Maybe.
Okay, sorry.
So this starts off. The start of this feels like a late 70s, early 80s slasher.
It does a bit, but I kind of see where you're coming from. But straight away, when you get that score happening, when you see John Jay just walking down the road, quite happy, like nothing's going wrong for him. It looks like he's just.
He is very happy.
He looks like he's just made a nest for some birds. He's such a nice little guy, just whistling along, la la la. He's really happy. He got that music. Dun, 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 dun.
What we don't know is that inside him, there's a war brewing.
But no, when you have this straight away, it has this level of there's something with this film. As soon as I love this movie. I used to watch this every Sunday as a kid while eating my roast beef, my Sunday lunch. Seriously, every Sunday as a kid, I watched it. My parents would be like, "Oh, just watch that, chuck that movie on." I was, I'm gonna watch First Blood as a kid all the time. It's an 18 movie, but my parents didn't care. And I don't know what it is with this film, but just that beginning opening bit, it just brings a higher class than I think the average horror movie, that's for sure, which you'd think would start with something like this. It's just something about it. It's really, it almost starts as that music brings almost an epicness to it, a beautifulness which is not expected. I think when you go, Sylvester Stallone movie, a really old one or something, I think people might have maybe not taken it too seriously compared to some of his later films, It's
a very serious film.
His acting's phenomenal. It really is. I can't think of someone else doing this role. He does. It's such a
because it's quite a physical role, but also
he's
really committed
well.
Because he really hurt himself quite a lot of times making this movie, but also emotionally he really switches it on, and people take the piss out of Stallone, and we've done it already. He's got that voice, but he can pull it out the bag. He is a really good actor.
Well, this movie, what an actor should do. Again, I say actors and actresses, actor, or generally just say actor. What an actor should do really is let you forget that they're an actor. You don't even notice it. You don't even see anything. You don't see Sylvester Stallone. You just see this person. You just follow this story, and you don't even think of it. That's what an actor should do. And in this, Sly, you're straight away, you're like, boom, straight in that conversation where he goes to see his last guy from his platoon. And the fact that he's just this vet who's going back to this town to see someone who's in his platoon, he just wants to go see him again because they went through, when you're in the war together, your friends are dying all around you, you're looking after each other, you're going to have something that's going to grow from that, which is going to be this bonding, and something which is really never be broken sort of thing, They've always got each other's back. And then he goes there to find out it's the last person he knows from that thing has died, and just at that point it clicks, and the emotional turmoil and everything comes back. He goes, there's nothing worth living anymore. That was the last thing I had worth living for. It's incredible.
It's like going back to what you just said as well. It's testament to how good an actor he is that he is Sylvester Stallone. He's a huge Hollywood star, an action star, and just an icon anyway, and yet he does vanish into this role, and we don't see Sylvester Stallone. We see, for me, and I'm sure for you and anyone else who's a fan of this movie, you just see John Rambo. You just see this guy. He's much younger, so he looks a bit different. I guess maybe that helps, but he is just John Rambo, this broken man who's pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. They get pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. He says that, and you really feel that, and yeah, it's just John Rambo is his character.
Yeah, it is.
Hang on a minute, I'm just going to shut my door.
Yeah, no worries.
Sorry about that.
Actually, I think the book's by David Moreau. Is that not right?
Yes, it is indeed.
Okay, we got it wrong. The screenplay is mine. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, I don't know this film. Just that beginning bit, you just straight away, you're into the story already, and it moves along. This movie moves so quickly as well. Should we go through? Should we just go through this film?
It does move quickly, and just before we do, just want to talk about the very first time I saw it. I mean, I didn't actually catch the very first Rambo until I was probably in my 20s. The first Rambos I watched were
Rambo 2
and 3.
Yeah.
Probably 3 was the one that we watched a lot when I was younger. One of my friends, I think, had it on VHS, and it's because the franchise did turn into more of a silly action, franchise towards the second and third, and picked it back up for the fourth one, and I've yet to see the fifth one yet. But he'd become an icon. He was making all the Rockies, he was making all the Rambos. So it was interesting to go back and watch this one and think, bloody hell, it's actually a very serious film. There's a lot of stuff being dealt with in this one. And in this, you don't have a lot of, in the second and third one, if you hadn't seen this one, you wouldn't really have a lot of empathy or a lot of sympathy for him. But in this one, you feel so sorry for him in this one, don't you? Even the first sort of major scene he has with the character is he goes to see his mate from the war. He's like, oh, hey, Delmore. It's Delmore here. And his wife's like, no, he's died of cancer.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, this poor guy's just rocked up. He's come all the way from, I don't know where. He looks like he's walked from Vietnam all the way across America with his pag to see his mate. And he's dead. No internet back then, Gav. So you didn't know?
No. And it's just devastating. I remember I actually I watched this first, but I remember the day Rambo 2 came out, and I was around a friend's house, and they're like, him and his older brother, the dad are like, let's go down to a video shop. Went down to a video shop, came back, watched Rambo 2, and we had to take it back to the video shop. And when we did that, for some reason, we drove around country lanes, and me and my friend stood out of the sunroof, waving arms around, listening to Phil Collins going really, really fast in the dark.
Which Phil Collins song?
Fuck knows. I don't like Phil.
I don't know that one.
Phil. I don't. Yeah, it's a special one.
Was it?
It's a limited edition.
Was it?
I don't know. I can dance. I don't know. I don't like really.
I like to think that it was. Was it a Genesis song?
It might have been Genesis.
Studio.
Oh, I don't know. But there you go. There's my tangent. Let's get back to this.
Rambo memories.
Rambo memories. That could be a new podcast.
Phil Collins and Rambo memories. So, Brian Dennehy.
Yep.
He is a
Cunt.
sheriff.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Well, he is. So Rambo, after finding out his mate's dead, John Rambo arrives in a lovely little place called Holiday Land. And Brian Dennehy sees him.
It's in the town of Hope, isn't it? In the town of Hope?
Yes. They call it Holiday Land on the sign. And he says, who are you? What do you want? And he's like, oh, I'm just, don't worry about me. I'm just walking along. And he says, well, you shouldn't be wearing that jacket. Yeah. That jacket's going to get you into trouble. People ask questions when they see a jacket like that.
I don't understand that.
It's because it's a military-style jacket, and obviously Vietnam is very hot.
And he says the patch, but it's an American flag. Surely you can have some patriotic people in that town.
Yeah, I don't think he believes that he's a soldier, and I don't think people understood quite what it meant to be a Vietnam vet, or even just a soldier, a veteran.
No, like I said, the media was portraying them as bad people.
Yeah, he says to him, look, I'm going to give you a lift. I'm going to drive you back to the end of the bridge, and I want you to walk out of the town and never come back. So he drops him off. But Stallone, he just gets back the car and turns back around and walks back into the town, doesn't he?
Yeah.
The cop really...
But the cop says to him, like, he wants some food. He goes, okay, there's a place up there. It's just 30 miles up there. What do you mean just 30 miles? Like, he wants some food. Oh, I'll just walk 30 miles up there. Maybe I'll hitchhike. By the way, I love this setting. It reminds me of like Twin Peaks or something. It's just all gloomy and rainy and loads of trees everywhere. This is, I think, where my love of Murder in the Woods comes from, to be honest. Like every movie where you got that. This is Friday the 13th, I guess. It was just this scene later on is so good.
Can you rephrase that, please?
Sorry.
This is where your love of Murder in the Woods.
Watching
you mean
films
your love of films about?
That's what I meant. That's right, Dan. Films. Let's just say that to keep that. Films. That's right.
I think you got away with that, Gav.
But he says that, so yeah, you're right. He gets out and he goes, yeah, see you later, and he just turns around, just like fuck that, and just walks back. So the cop's like, for fuck's sake, turns around, goes back there. You know, he says, what you doing? Blah, jumps out the car, attacks him, finds a big hunting knife on him.
He says, why are you pushing me, man? Why are you pushing me?
Which is true. It's like, why? It's just like, his reason is, if we bring you in, we're going to have every other vagrant coming through here in Hobo.
He says, we don't want any drifters in this town.
Yeah.
We don't want you here at all. I get the feeling that cop probably wouldn't want anybody who wasn't white in that town, really, and probably wouldn't want anyone who was gay in that town as well. Is that kind of a horrible small town mentality?
Yeah.
So he arrests him. So John Rambo is arrested. They find the famous Rambo knife on him, which, is just to be walking around with a knife like that.
It is quite a full-on knife.
It's fucking hell. It's like a sword.
Especially if he does have slightly PTSD. It's probably not the best thing, just in case he got into a bar fight,
Yeah, so he says to him, we're booking you for vagrancy.
Do you see Rambo eyes up the gun cabinet?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, so he walks in, and they have got a small arsenal in there.
Oh, no, that's just... he looks up and just sees the gun cabinet on the side, the wooden one, just at the booking in desk. It's not very big. There's not that many there.
Yeah, we see that later, though, when they take him through, and there's like a big room, like that room in Hot Fuzz, just full of guns.
Well, that's when he goes into the gun store.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm getting muddled, sorry.
Oh, yeah, I know this movie very well, so yes.
Okay, well, he's arrested for resisting arrest, concealed weapons, vagrancy, etc., etc. And we start getting some Nam flashbacks, which sounds very cheesy, and it's all been done before, but it's done very well and very tastefully, I would say, in this.
Yeah.
We get lots of flashbacks, and
what's lies being pulled up by these guys? They're like, look, just put your fingerprint on the thing, and he won't do it. He keeps smudging. He just doesn't want to give him his ID.
You can see he's unhinged mentally. He's not very well.
Yeah, so then they get a stick, a billy club stick, whatever, put up against his throat to say, "Come on, put your thumbs down." He starts having flashbacks to being tortured.
Yeah, they grab his dog tags off him. They snatch them off of him as well.
Caruso does that.
Yeah, so Caruso's in this. They see his scars as well, and they sort of ask him about that. One of them tries to shave him, and when they put the razor to his throat, that's what the final flashback that triggers it, really. The PTSD hits him full on, floods in, and it reminds him of a moment where he was tied up in a hut in Vietnam, and a guy put a great big machete to his throat. So he ends up taking on 3 cops, and then 4. And he fights them all. He makes his way out of the station. It's a bit like the Terminator here, really. He's like the reverse.
It's very much like Terminator, yeah.
Instead of fighting his way in, he fights his way out of the station. He grabs his knife. He finds time to grab his knife.
Do you like it when they hose him down earlier?
Oh, I love it when they... Oh, what do you mean?
Just say when they said clean him up. You said clean him up, clean him up.
Yeah, it's a bit mean, isn't it?
Hosing down with a fire hydrant type.
Probably freezing cold water as well.
Yeah, of course.
And this is what the Vietnamese did to him.
Yeah, he's got scars all over his back, hasn't he, and shit.
But he walked into this situation. He was asked to leave, and he's come back, and it's almost like that victim mentality. And I'm not saying that that's an excuse, but people that have bad stuff sometimes happen to them, sometimes find themselves in a very similar situation, whether subconsciously or not, or accidentally, they're back there. And it's almost like part of his brain is put, because that's all he knows, is this terrible mental stuff and health stuff. He's put himself back in a situation where he's being hurt again.
Yeah.
But he's pushed and he escapes. There's a brilliant scene with the motorbike where the guy drives past.
That's so good. It's such a good scene. He comes around the corner, screeches around the corner, his slide just goes and does a wheelie. Brilliant.
I'm talking about the bit though where he grabs the guy off the bike.
Oh, when he gets it, when he purchases the bike from a local motorcyclist going past. Yeah,
he just jumps on it and he
speeds off. Yeah,
he speeds off into the misty mountains, through the woods and the fields.
I love the fact just when he gets the motorbike. I love the fact he just dives. He kind of hops over the car bonnet. He didn't need to. He can just run around it, but obviously it looks cool.
It's pretty cool, though.
That's why it looks cool.
It wouldn't be an 80s action scene if you didn't sort of slide or jump across a car bonnet.
Well, I know. I'm just saying.
You've got to have some fire hydrants get hit. Maybe a car drives through a plate glass window with 2 guys carrying it across the road.
Perfect.
That kind of thing. Maybe if it was I was watching Bad Boys the other day. Cause I watched
that's
the third
a new one, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but I was watching the original because me and my dad watched 1 and 2 together, and then we went to the cinema and watched the third one. Obviously, he's my dad. That's how we do things. And in the first one, they have all the sort of general cliches that you get during a chase. But then Michael Bay throws in a group of wheelchair basketball players in slow motion bouncing their balls up the road, like, and then Martin Lawrence and Will Smith come smashing out and knock him all over as they're being chased or chasing somebody. And I'm like, wow, Michael Bay just always puts things up to an 11, doesn't he? Bit of a tangent there. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I'm completely off track now. What are we talking about?
So he loses his bike because he gets to a bit of the woods, but you just can't get the bike up it. So he jumps off the bike, he goes up on foot.
We are only 18 minutes into the movie.
I know, right? It's so fast paced.
I was like, so what the fuck? I was like, oh. And I love this whole chase of him with Dennehy, Brian Dennehy, the sheriff, driving after him, chasing after him, and he's on his motorbike in just like a fucking little vest, and like a little, yeah. And he's been chased for this really rainy place. It's just out in the countryside. Then it goes to sort of mountains and trees, and the car can only go so far and fucking flips over. Actually, it just kind of
really
slowly
does,
it rolls. And
actually, it wasn't supposed to flip that badly, but they kept that take in because they didn't have a lot of money and a lot of cars.
Yeah, but it looked good
trash.
though. Yeah, it looked good.
And also, we should mention that is actually Stallone on that bike doing all of those stunts and riding very quickly without a helmet as well. Very quickly.
You can tell with this movie, it's the same with Rocky. He was hungry at this age. It was like, I'm fucking making it. I don't give a fuck. And doing like this role is putting it all in on this film. Everything. He found a coat, didn't he? That he wears, big green
the bit
thing.
of canvas.
He just literally did find that and put it on because he was cold. So like, well, let's just use it.
He actually broke. The cop that wears the bandage over his nose for the rest of the movie. He actually wore that because Stallone accidentally broke his nose during that fight scene.
Oh, really?
So all of these things, they just added to the film. Much like when we've done our guerrilla style filmmaking, we'll find something on a set and incorporate that into the movie because that's what guerrilla filmmaking is. That's what they were doing. They were just, broke a nose, cool, you get to wear a bandage now then. The car didn't flip over correctly. Oh, well, tough luck, we'll have to leave it in. Oh, here's a piece of canvas. Oh, I could wear that for the whole movie. All right then, do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And this chasing is great. It has some glorious scenes of really low, wide shots. And of the stuff, it's shot so well. This film, beautiful.
As soon as he enters that forest, he becomes MacGyver. That Rambo one-man army mentality. He makes the coat out of the canvas, so he finds this bit of canvas and makes the sort of the jacket thing out of it to keep warm.
Then you got the
cops have said, they said get reinforcements and get the dogs.
So he gets the dogs going up there, and these guys are going up there, this team of them. There's probably, 5, 6, 7? And they're going up there. They're really not taking it seriously. They're just kind of joking around, having a laugh.
Now, these guys remind me of...
It's like a Friday afternoon, isn't it, I think?
Well, it's the sort of thing you'd see in the Deep South with these guys. They'd be going after a black fella now, wouldn't they? And, it keeps reminding me of things like that. They're just like enjoying it a bit too much. They're after a bloke, but they're like, yeah, boy, get the dogs. This is going to be great. We're going to hunt him down. Woohoo!
They don't think he's a threat. They just think it's a laugh. Yeah. And it's a Friday afternoon, and they'll be done. They'll be ready at home having steak and chips for dinner, Well,
the dogs pick up the scent, and Rambo starts climbing down a cliff because he's Rambo. So he climbs down a cliff. And this is where the helicopter spots him.
Brilliant scores, by the way, going on here. The music score in this is incredible.
Really good score to this movie, actually. Helicopter spots him climbing down, and they've been told to bring him in alive. However, this guy thinks, fuck that, I'm going to shoot him. So he tries shooting at him, which means that Stallone has to jump. And again, Stallone broke his ribs landing into this tree.
Oh, really?
In real life.
Oh, wow.
But he just carried on with the shot because, he wanted to make it look good. Like you say, Gav, he was hungry.
Yeah.
I love this scene now where they can't really land the chopper because there's nowhere to land it. So they try and get as close as they can to try and take him out. And he throws a rock, doesn't he? And it hits the helicopter.
He got this one guy. The guy who's after him is a particular guy. He's not very likeable. He was in it earlier, roughing up Rambo. And he's the one who's gone after him. He's been told by the sheriff, don't shoot, don't kill him or anything, But he's in there shooting away at Sylvester Stallone, he's Rambo, as he's like holding up into this tree, isn't he?
Yeah, and he, like I said, he throws this rock and it hits the helicopter, and the guy falls out of the helicopter and falls to his death.
Yeah.
It's quite a bad. It's quite a good little bit of gore here, actually, isn't it? 'Cause he just cracks his head open.
Yeah, absolutely. It always just disturbed me slightly when I was a child, but I was probably quite young when I watched this movie.
Yeah. Well, Stallone takes his gun and his coat, and we get the famous scene now where he sews up his own arm. So he's got this amazing knife, Gav. Tell us what's in the knife, in the handle of the knife.
Well, you got a compass, a sewing kit. I think there was matches.
He's got it all in that knife.
Yeah.
And they actually started making these sort of knives, didn't they? They were very popular. I mean, this is how bad.
Yeah, I had the toy version. Actually, I think I might have told the story before. I threw it at my friend once from a long distance, and I did it really well. Well, probably not really well, actually, but I got him in the eye.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Luckily, it was a toy and not a real knife.
Yeah, still, I think it hurt him.
This was around about the same time.
I think I got beat for it as well. Yeah,
this is about the same time that nunchucks were. People wanted to buy nunchucks. People wanted to buy Rambo knives, and then suddenly the government realised we probably shouldn't have let people just have these things.
No.
So nunchucks were banned. The word ninja was banned in a lot of things, and yeah, people stopped being able to just buy Rambo knives that you could just carry around with you in your leg, because.
I used to go to a martial arts shop down in Portsmouth, and it just go in there and just pick up throwing stars and just play with them and shit. You just be there as a kid just wandering around, just picking up nunchucks and stuff. Yeah, just playing with them. There's a bit all this shit everywhere.
Hello, little Gavin. We've got some smoke bombs in here. Ninja smoke bombs.
Well, we used to have like the wooden desks which you pick up, and there's a dude that I used to hang out with and stuff, and he used to have a throwing star in his thing. So at lunchtime, you could put the wooden up and you could throw it at the desk.
Did you make the noise like that?
Yeah, but it's kind of a bit like, it's like, how dangerous is that? It's like literally middle school, and we've got throwing star in the class playing it, using it.
I had plastic ones. I had in a ninja like toy set.
Yeah.
But they got taken off me by my dad because they weren't sharp, but they were enough to do damage if they got someone in the eye. So, and I was always throwing them at my sister or my brother. So
think about it, we're lucky we didn't actually hurt anybody.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's carry on.
So he sews his arm up, and they catch up with him at this point. They start shooting at him, and he says, "It's not my fault. It's not my fault." They find out he's a Green Beret, so the cops are getting a bit worried. One of them says, "I've heard they're real badasses."
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of tension now between the cops, because a couple of them now are a little bit worried about this character, because he's survived for this long so far on his own. They've heard he's a Green Beret. They've heard he's a bit of a badass, and he's already killed one of them.
So you get old Caruso says to Brian Dennehy, like, what? Leave it alone. Leave it for the proper state troopers. What are we doing? Like, let's just not fucking handle this. Then he grabs him and says, "Look at that! Look at that! I've not been friends with that boy since you're having your nose wiped by your mama," and all this sort of stuff. And basically, it comes into a bit of a vendetta, really, doesn't it? You've killed a cop, right? You're going down. He's one of us.
They want to take him down, basically.
Yeah. So they go for a hunt into the woods, and it's night. It's getting into sort of night time as well.
Starts raining as well
It's
to add to the atmosphere.
I love it. This is my favourite part of the film.
It's shot really well. And Gab, have you got this on like Blu-ray or anything like that?
No, do you know what? I haven't, and it's one that
I bet this would look fantastic on Blu-ray.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it on Blu-ray. Yeah.
I've watched it on DVD, but I can imagine.
I'd like to watch a good making of documentary, actually.
With the rain and the forest and the way Stallone looks, he's got that side profile. I think this probably would just look so good, you know, with all those cops sneaking up on him and the mine shaft, which we're coming up to in a minute, and the dogs. I bet this just looks great in Blu-ray. Yeah, somebody realises he's got a gun. He makes a scarecrow, doesn't he, to put them off a bit, and they realise he's got a gun, so he starts shooting at them. They send in the dog, and Rambo kills the dog.
He does kill the dogs, but I guess that is definitely self-defense. It's not like later on with the humans, he just incapacitates them. I guess the dog a dog's too fast and fierce. You have to just literally take it out, I guess.
once the dogs died, one of the guys says,
which is a big no-no in Hollywood films, by the way.
One of the guys says, "We ain't hunting him, he's hunting us."
And it's so Predator now, isn't it?
That's why I was thinking if John Rambo and Dutch got together, Predator would not have a chance.
God, I think almost orgasm then. Fucking hell.
Can you imagine those two? But they wouldn't get on.
That'd be so good though, that's Arnie and Sly.
Rambo wouldn't take orders, and Dutch would be like, "Here's the orders. This is what we're doing." And
it's
Rambo
too many captains spoil the broth, isn't it?
Yeah, they wouldn't.
Too many captains spoil the broth. What's that?
I know
too many cooks. Yeah.
Too many captains on the Starship Enterprise.
Exactly.
I know what you meant.
On the dock. Docking.
Great bit here where.
Do you know what docking is?
Rambo's disguised as a bush in this next bit.
Do you know what docking is?
Yes, I do, Gav.
Okay,
I'm trying to ignore this. I know it's your birthday episode. You want to talk about docking.
It's my birthday.
Rambo's disguised as a bush, and he grabs and looks like...
He is? I thought you were taking a piss then. No, he is, yes.
It looks like he stabs Caruso in the butt or the leg. Now, spoiler alert, Rambo doesn't actually kill a single person in this movie.
Yeah, you're jumping ahead way too quickly. Like, when he goes for all these people one after the other, it's so nicely done. They all start separating. It's kind of like the hunt for the whatever the killer is in Silver Bullet. It's very much like that, and it's really interesting as we sort of follow both these sort of stories going along. Like, you know, Rambo's plight is he's trying to get away and he's there and they're coming for him. It's such an interesting, I don't know, very interesting.
He sets up lots of booby traps in the woods, and this has been done to death now, but this is the first time we saw this sort of thing in movies. So he sets up like spikes to sort of jump at the ground, and
it's brilliant, isn't it?
Logs to swing across and stuff. And it looks like he's just taking all these people out. And like I say, I was quite surprised actually to learn that he hasn't actually killed any of these people. Even the guy in the helicopter that did die, he didn't necessarily mean to kill that guy.
He stabs one person in the leg.
Yeah, he just incapacitates them mainly.
He jumps on the guy from high above, doesn't he, at one point?
He does say to
and one guy shoots the other guy himself.
That's right.
Yeah, so he didn't even do that because he didn't even have a gun at that point.
One gets tied to a tree and he says to him, "I could have killed them all. I could have killed you."
But you're still missing the best one: the stakes in the guy's legs.
Oh God!
And he's going back and forwards, and the stakes are just in his legs. And he's like, yes. Help me! And like in the distance, you just hear noise. It's so good, and that's when Rambo jumps up onto the sheriff and says, "I could kill him. I could have killed them all." Yeah.
He says, "Don't push it, or I'll give you a award you won't believe."
Don't push it.
And then he says, as he walks off, he says, "Just let it go." And then he kind of vanishes, doesn't he?
Go. Yeah.
He's so cool. He just vanishes. Imagine if Rambo decided to become a ninja.
And this is where the sheriff, he is pretty much a ninja, and this is where the sheriff just breaks down and starts crying.
It's pretty bad. Well, we cut back to the town, and the press have arrived. They're having a field day with this.
This is where you've got Colonel Troutman comes for his boy.
Yep. The ambulances all turn up. Loads more cops have arrived. And the sheriff says, we were a little rough with him when we arrested him, I will admit. And he says something along the lines of, what made him like that? No, what in God's name has made him like this? And the Troutman says, God didn't make him, I did.
God didn't make him, I made him. Now
it's so cool, and that's basically Uncle Sam, isn't it? He's basically
do you know
he's basically because he's Sam Troutman, and he's like Uncle Sam created this.
I guess so. Do you know what the score was with this character? Who was his name? Is it Richard Craner?
It's Troutman.
Yeah, the actor.
I mean, the actor.
Yeah.
I'll just get you that now.
I think it's Richard Craner. Richard Crenna?
Yeah, Richard Crenna. Yeah.
He was brought in at the very last second, and literally, like a couple of days before I think it was that he'd just come off Broadway playing a gay character.
Yeah.
And through this, when he was doing his readings and stuff, it was coming off to, I guess his character was playing more of a camp gay, I guess, because otherwise, you know, how would you know if someone's gay? So that's what I guess. So his performance apparently had to keep stopping him and saying, no, you're still kind of in the role from stage. You need to like get into this character. That's why some of his performance is a bit weird.
Yeah, he's quite creepy in this, isn't he? But he's the only one that understands Rambo. You know, and after he says, God didn't make him, I did, he says, I've come to rescue you from him. So we're getting this kind of, something bad about this guy, this John Rambo guy. He describes his training.
He eats stuff and make a bully go puke.
Yeah, and he does. We do see him catch and eat a pig, don't we? While that's going on.
Like a wild boar, yeah. Just grabs it and takes the leg off and just walks off of it. Yep. He
says, the odds are pretty good, 200 to 1. And Troutman says, well, I hope you brought a good supply of body bags.
Yeah.
So he calls him on the stolen radio, and he says, please give up. Come on in. And he says, I'm the last one, sir. I can't. They drew first blood, not me. So this is where the title comes from. So we've suspected all along that he's unhinged, but this confirms it because it's become a war now. It's become they're after him, but he's after them. He's kind of flipping it on them, really.
Yeah, totally.
And it does, to me, go back into a little bit of a more serious slasher movie. You know, like we joke around with Jason setting up all the traps and setting all the things that that's kind of like what I'm seeing here, but kind of behind the scenes of what goes on.
Yeah, totally. Then you got then I love the fact you get the Weekend Army comes in, the National Guard. Why do they class them as the Weekend Army? What's the score of National Guard?
I don't really know. I don't know. They don't really count them as a real army, do they? I don't really know why. I suppose they're like, it's not their full-time job.
It's not their full-time job. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Al Pacino was considered for the role of John Rambo.
No.
I don't think that would have worked, do you?
No.
Al Pacino, John Rambo almost kills a kid, but he doesn't in the end, thankfully. But he does get hold of a machine gun.
He does.
And he heads into a mine.
And again, these people are told not to shoot. And the National Guard find him in this mine, and they bring out a rocket launcher.
He says, who's got the rocket launcher? And he says, oh, yeah, I forgot we got that. Go and get it. That's probably going to kill him if you're going to use that.
It's ridiculous. So they destroy the entrance totally.
Yep, I love that. They destroy the entrance totally. Yeah, they do. It's a great explosion. Boom. The army guys are all posing for photos in front of the mine. Now, this reminds me of what happened in Afghanistan or Iraq, where the American soldiers, and I think some British soldiers, pictured themselves with like dead bodies and stuff, like showing off. Because it's kind of like that, isn't it? They're like, yay, look what we've done,
Yeah.
They think they've killed him. Troutman says, I think he's still alive, actually.
And he has a little look, and he looks up at the mountain a bit more, and he's like, maybe there's a back entrance.
Well, there is a back entrance because the mine is flooding, and Rambo is trapped in the flooding mine and is attacked by rats.
And we didn't even do an anal sex joke on that either.
What, a back passage?
Yeah, it was a rat in your back passage. Now we have, though, so that's ruined that.
Oh dear, bloody hell. A flooded back passage.
Oh dear.
So his shaft is flooded, and
it's a dark old wet hole.
The colonel and the sheriff meet in a bar, and they discuss what decisions we've got.
And a horse comes in.
And it says, by the long face.
Yep.
And an Englishman, an Irishman, a Scotsman walk in the bar, and the barman says, is this the start of a joke?
Yep. I thought yours was, though, when you said the Cowan and Troutman were talking together in the bar. Carry on.
So lots and lots and lots and lots of people are joining the hunt now. It's become a bit of a phenomenon now, like a nationwide manhunt. The truck hijacks in a moment. That truck was brought in from Canada with loads of imported weapons in real life.
Yeah, because Rambo, you didn't say Rambo actually escapes from his little tunnel, doesn't he?
He does.
His way out.
He does.
Yes.
The truck in real life on the set, and they were very concerned about this. The truck that he hijacks was brought in from Canada with a load of imported weapons in the back, and that truck was stolen off the set and never found. So somebody somewhere took that truck, and it's just out there.
Yeah, with the weapons in it.
With the weapons in it.
That's amazing.
Very disturbing. Yes, he hijacks the truck. He throws the guy out of the truck.
Don't look at me. Look at the road. This is how accidents happen. What a weird
try and run him
line.
off the road.
What a weird line.
He is a weird guy. They put a roadblock up. Roadblock's not going to stop Rambo, though, is it?
No, roadblocks
Just
don't
drive
stop
straight
Rambo.
through them.
Like Chuck Norris wouldn't stop Chuck Norris either.
Nah, but the truck blows up, and it was a distraction. He's
Indeed.
clever.
Yeah. At the station, they find out he's still alive.
And this bit now I completely forgotten about. This bit now it really ramps it up a notch because the whole town is told, okay, everybody evacuate the streets. There's a curfew. Everybody's got to get inside right now. And it's kind of like there's a serial killer on the loose. Everybody get inside. Because they don't know what this guy's going to do, and they have to evacuate the whole town.
But to be fair, he literally goes, right, I'm going to town. Going to town, so to speak, excuse the pun. He literally goes to town. He blows up a station, but drives over a car in a truck, then just literally blows up a gas station. It's like, here you go, hi, I'm here. I've come to, like, seek revenge of you guys all being arseholes. You were going to take me out of your town, not let me in a town. I'm going to fucking take your town out.
He says, my notes here say, now he's taking on the whole town.
It's crazy. But yes, he's angry at this point.
He heads over to the gun store now.
Yeah, he does. And this is where he has his commando. I thought he was going to have more of a commando moment, but he doesn't, does he?
He stocks up on all the guns.
I mean, there are a few guns, not that many. He does get the classic M60, is it? With the machine gun and the pump action on it as well.
But then he blows up the gun shop after he's taken everything he needs out of it.
Yep.
Why not?
And he uses that as a way to find out where the old sheriff is, doesn't he?
Oh, he does, doesn't he?
Pops his
That's
head
right.
up and he's like, I see you.
Okay.
Because the sheriff is hiding away in the building, and Troutman said to the sheriff, like, what are you doing? You think you can do this? I'm doing this. I don't give a shit. And he's just like, give it up. Like, no. And he's fucking just going for it.
We get a little bit more of a scuffle, a little bit more of a chase, and eventually Troutman catches up with him. And he says, the mission is over, Rambo. The mission is over. Come on. It's time. And this is where Rambo has his epic scene where Stallone just breaks down. And I'm not even going to do it justice by trying to repeat it, but basically says he relives what he went through in Vietnam. You know, he's talked about there were pieces of my friends everywhere. You know, I tried to put them back together. I tried to hold them together, and he just breaks down. And it's a bit incoherent because he's screaming, but it works so well.
He tells a story of he's there with his mate, and a little kid comes along and blows him up, and blows his friend up, and he can't find his friend's legs, and his friend's just lying there on the floor saying, I want to go home, and he's trying to look for his legs. That is not trauma. Shouldn't be. That's the sort of things that the mind has not been designed to take on. That's too far gone for the mind to stay sane. I think it's understandable that you're just going to break under that. You know, it's insane, like what these people have seen in wars.
The delivery from Stallone really adds to it because he is manic, and he's a big bloke, and he's sort of screaming and crying, and for an action star, especially in the early 80s, to show an emotion like that, it is very. You wouldn't see that from Arnie or any of these other guys, you know what I mean? So that's what sells it for me as well. Is we're disturbed because this is a big hero, big, you know, action guy, and oh my god, he's breaking down and crying and reliving this terrible thing that happened. That really sells it for me.
This was before the big muscly Schwarzenegger action movie. I know Sly has got some muscles in this and that, but there wasn't a preset at that point. This is 82. They shot this in 81. You know, this is still just coming off of, like, there wasn't still that many great Vietnam War films. It's still so early on. It's a real pushing of the envelope, so to speak, of what you can do with it, and taking it to the masses, to the first time to the masses a little bit more in such a cinematic way, telling a story of that. Hopefully it brought some sympathy on for vets, you know.
Well, Stallone said he played the role in his head like he was like the Frankenstein monster, and Colonel Treitman was Dr. Frankenstein. That's how he thought of the role. So he's like, and it is similar in that this thing has been put in a town where everyone wants it dead and is hunting it. And the maker of him, the colonel, you know, who the one that created this soldier, shows up, you know. So I can see why he would have thought that. And that goes to show, again, he's serious about his craft, about his acting, if he's thought that much into it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But initially though, he was apparently really unhappy with it, Stallone, and he said, I want to buy the whole film back, and never let anybody see this. But then they showed the producers and buyers of the movie the first 40 minutes of the film, and within 5 minutes they'd sold the rights, international rights, and everybody wanted a piece of it and said, yeah, let's get this out there, this is going to be brilliant.
That's really weird that you'd think that. Nowadays he wouldn't. He didn't. I doubt he thought that with bloody last Rambo. You know?
Yeah, well, he says this is his favourite Rambo, but he said, I quote, he hated the first cut of the film so much, he tried to buy the film back and destroy it. He couldn't do that, so he suggested the producers cut down his part so he's barely in it.
That's so weird.
And they said, no, we're going to leave it as it is. And it was 3.5 hours long, and obviously a lot of films are that long when you first make them, and they cut a good chunk of it out.
How could they make that and cut him out, make him more like a serial killer?
He wanted it to be more of the story told from the other people.
Okay.
But in the end, he was convinced, and then the bidding war that happened within the first 40 minutes, boom, and it became what it is. And it really, arguably, this and Rocky really made him, really, didn't it?
Yeah, and it's funny that both like in the 80s, both start with an R and they're 5 letters. So always in my head he was the Rambo, the Rocky guy, and I was always on the side of liking Rambo. Never really liked Rocky. Never like boxing films, a bit like.
I liked the Rocky movies. I liked 2, 3, and 4 especially. Just going back to it then. So he is arrested. So he does get there is, you know, justice. He's not just going to get away with blowing all this shit up.
Well, Troutman comes along and talks to him, doesn't he? Like we said, and he has that big speech, and he's just like, okay, I'll give in. You know, he's basically at that point. Then he's all gone. It's all gone. He's left it all out. All his pent up anger inside. He's just cried all over the floor. You know. He
marches him out past everyone, doesn't he? Yeah. And of course, we get a freeze frame because it's an 80s movie.
And then Frank Stallone starts singing all over that bloody lovely music. It's like, Frank, stop singing on the music.
Yeah. And isn't he singing like a song that's like First Blood? And it's like a song all about like the war is hell, and I don't know, it's like a really weird.
I can't remember. There's only one way to the better.
Yeah, I'm gonna kill everyone in this town. I'm gonna kill your dog and put spikes in your leg.
But yeah, it's an amazing movie. After this, I'm gonna go with Rambo. I watched that again recently, and I think that's a brilliant movie. The 4th one.
And this movie is, you know, everybody thinks of, like I said earlier, Rambo 2 and 3. You got that image of Stallone with a giant gun killing everybody.
Red bandana and in a green vest. And there's only a little bit in this. He has a red bandana for a very small bit.
Where that character comes from is an incredibly damaged, very realistic.
I know.
You know, interpretation of a man who's been through hell, pushed by the wrong group of people, and does some bad stuff. He doesn't kill anybody. You know, that he tries not to kill anybody, but PTSD, man, it's not good.
No.
And PTSD, a lot of people relate that to war, but it can come from any traumatic event. It's post-traumatic stress disorder.
It's a trauma to the mind which should not be seeing that sort of stuff is going to bring that on sort of that, isn't it? Really.
Indeed. So some incredibly powerful movies there, both very different from each other. Session 9 is a slow burn, gets under your skin.
Yeah.
Need to go back and watch that again. This one is a little bit more of an action.
It's an action movie, isn't it?
But
it has that dark element,
gritty vibe to it.
It's that realism,
Really good stuff. So while we're doing that, I mean, obviously it's your birthday episode, and we don't want to bring things down too much, but we did want to touch on mental health a little bit. It's stuff that we both experienced over the last couple of years, and a lot of people, and we're only doing this from a bloke's side because we are blokes, but blokes don't talk about mental health enough, and we just wanted to very briefly touch on that and sort of say, that it's good. The number one tip I would give is talk, because we're both from that generation, Gav. We're both in our early 40s where men had to shut up and man up, bottle it all up and just crack on, because it wasn't very manly to show emotion. And this is what causes damage in guys' minds and women's as well, of course, but I can only speak from my point of view. We've touched on PTSD, we've touched on sleep deprivation and domestic violence in session 9 as well, and all of these sort of things. And I think I just wanted to share some good tips, some tips for having and trying to improve your mental health, if that's all right.
Is this a sustained mental health? Because recently I've been having a couple of anxiety attacks, and they're attacks right there and then, and nothing. It makes me think really negative stuff. Nothing can pull me out of it. All I have to do is focus on something like on the wall and breathe.
That's a really good tip.
Yeah. Just control your breathing, just focus on one thing. But that's me having an onslaught attack. You're going to give tips for
these
trying
are more
to sustain it for people who have more, say, depression, which is a sustained longer thing. Yeah.
Or even just how to, if you don't feel you've got any poor mental health, that's fine, but how to maintain that, really. Just a couple of little things, really. I was just going to say off the back of what you just said, I haven't had one for a very long time. I used to get quite bad panic or anxiety attacks. The first couple I had were terrible. I thought I was going to die, and as I'm sure a lot of our listeners and anybody who's ever had one, and Gav yourself. But once you know what you're dealing with, although it's still very scary, you can get through it a lot quicker. Like you said, then you know what's coming, you know what's happening. So if you can pick a point in the wall and focus on that, that's your way of dealing with it. But we're not experts by any means, and I don't want anybody to think that we are.
Everybody's mind is different, so you just find a way to cope with it yourself, can't you?
I would strongly suggest if anybody listening, man or woman, is having any issues or bad thoughts or anything, there's anonymous things you can online. There's people you can phone, like the Samaritans. Depending on what country you're in, you can speak to people. The tips I've got here are just very basic ones that are very easy, but things like get lots of sleep and eat well. When I after my mum passed away last year, I didn't sleep a lot. I didn't eat well. I drank a lot. Yeah. And
alcohol's
drinking
so bad for the mind.
It really is, and that's why I'm 100 days sober, and you're now 6 months sober. There's choices we've made because we've seen what they can do. Well, we're not alcoholics, but if we can avoid doing something that will make our state of mind bad, then why not avoid it? Exercise is another good one. Getting out and getting walks.
It's easy to say this stuff though, but sometimes
it really is.
It is if you're already in that place. I'm going to say if you can, as much as you can. I know it's hard if you've got children to look after. I've been in a situation where I can't even stand to cook food for my kids, and I'm sitting on a chair because I'm struggling just to do that for them. If you can sleep, I'm going to say just let your mind recharge as much as you can, I think. And
I mean, with all of these things I'm talking about, if you struggle to do any of these things, that isn't a bad thing. But if you for a long period of time are struggling to have a normal sleeping routine or to eat normally, or we all like a weekend in bed from time to time, but if it turns into every weekend or 3 or 4 or 5 days in a dark room, you may want to explore getting some help and talking to people. It's easy for me to reel off a list of tips, like you said, Gav. Go out and get some exercise. But what if you physically cannot get out of the house?
You can't get out of bed.
Yeah, exactly.
You just can't be bothered. There's no reason to do it anymore. There's no. I've got no in me. I just can't be fucked. I don't want to eat. I don't want to eat. I'm just gonna sit here and sit here and sit here.
We're very lucky now that we men, especially, but everybody, mental health is such a prominent talking point now. Even in my job now, which is increasingly more emotionally stressful. I won't go into it. We never really talk about jobs, etc. But I do deal with very vulnerable adults within my role and have quite emotionally testing conversations with people. And I now I'm able to get a regular sort of mental health check, as it were, with my manager and other people that come in, and that's great. And it helps me to make sure that because someone summed it up to me once. I had a really bad couple of days and I couldn't make it into work. And I came in a few days later and one of the managers said, I apologise, I'm so sorry. And she said to me, look, if you had a tummy ache, or a bad foot, you wouldn't have apologised for having a couple of days off. And mental health is as serious as physical health, if not more.
Yeah.
So never apologise for it.
It's because it's the invisible illness.
And there's still a stigma attached to it, isn't there?
Well, yeah, a little bit. I think it's broken down a lot more now.
I think that's what I'm saying. We are lucky.
I was very naive to it. I was very naive to it until I became a carer of someone with it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, if you are also one of those people, you should always try and talk to some people about that as well. If you're looking after someone who suffers from it, it can take its toll on you as well. And
it can cause you to have poor mental health as well.
It can take you down that, so you need to just keep a check on yourself as well if you're in that situation. So, yeah, it's... I don't know. Like you say, talking's good, but some people don't like to. Some people are introverts and just don't want to talk. And if you don't want to talk, don't talk. If anything, watch YouTube videos of self-help of like people on there. There's a lot of things that. I'm
dealing with somebody in my family very close at the moment who's dealing with some quite serious mental health issues, and I've tried everything I can to help this person. And I think it's just going to be a slow burn of watching them and having to be patient whilst they figure it out for themselves, because they are getting some help. But as long as we keep an eye on them as a family, there's not much more we can do. So there's so many different ways that you can tackle this. I think ultimately, you've got to. It's so easy for me to say go out and speak to somebody, but like you just said, Gab, how do you sometimes?
Yeah, I don't know if
the internet is such a fantastic tool. You can sit in your bedroom and read about everything and anything.
You can, and try and do that. It's really hard to say if you're in that sort of place where nothing else helps at all, and you're not taking tablets or you're not seeing one, and if you are taking tablets and they're not helping, it's just getting worse and worse. I'm sorry for you. Just try and go to that happy place. Try and put on a song which used to remind you of something for your childhood. Or a happy place in your time or something. I don't know. It's very hard to say. And I know.
Well, we touched on this earlier. We touched on music and films.
Just try and go to a good place, or having a wank. I know that sounds crude. I know that sounds crude, but sometimes But I know also sometimes with this things like finding an easy way out. It's something that pops in the mind. And it comes up. You can think I've had the glimpse of it, only very, 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 very small, but it just made me open my mind up to go, oh shit. So if I was like suffering constantly for a long period of time, just a way to stop this, I can see how that becomes a relevant thing in your mind to find ease and just from suffering. But I don't know. It's a hard one to talk about.
More likely, 3 times more likely to die from suicide due to mental health than women in the UK. 3 times.
Yeah, it's weird.
And in the UK, 2 years ago, the most recent stat I've got, there was just under 7,000 suicides from people who have poor mental health, which is a big number.
Yeah. But like, if you do have this, you know, if you're male or female, regardless, if you do have this, you just, you know, it's just take a step back from that and just breathe and just, you know, just take a step back and just reevaluate everything.
We're not doctors. We do a silly podcast that you guys listen to for a bit of fun and a bit of relief. But what I would say is, personally for me, you guys can contact me on Facebook, and I'm not going to be able to give you advice, but I can help you find a number or a website potentially. I'll put that out there now. You know,
I'm literally the shittest person to talk to on in
maybe not Gav, but if you want to private message me, honestly, and I mean that, listeners, honestly, I'm not going to potentially save you, or you know, or I might not even give you the right information, but I can point you in the right direction. If you, or even if you just want to say, you know, this is how I'm feeling, you know, it's good to have somebody else acknowledge it sometimes. You know where I am. You can find me on Facebook.
And that's also ignore everything we both say, because we don't know what the fuck we're talking about.
Yeah, we're absolute knobs.
We literally know shit.
It's got a pretend time machine.
Yeah.
I mean, if there is a mental health show in there, then I don't know what.
Should we get out of here and have some music? Because I've chosen some. I might as well just say it from here, actually. This is the end of the movie, isn't it? So yeah, let's just say straight into the music. It relates to the movie. In fact, the song is called First Blood, and it's by an artist called Necro. It's a rapper, he said that we can use the song. So cheers, dude. And it's got samples from the the movie and stuff in it. So this is Necro and First Blood. Take it away.
Hi, welcome back to World of the Strange.
It's so strange, Gavin. It's a strange world.
It is a strange world. So,
well, it's your birthday, and you'll cry if you... No, it's your birthday, and you want to tell me a story.
Well, not really a story so much. I was going to talk about that hospital a little bit. This is only very quickly. I haven't really got any stories to tell, but that hospital in...
From 9.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, that particular hospital, like I said, was an actual psychiatric hospital. And when it was first built, basically, they thought it was going to occupy, I think it's like 600 people. That was what it was kind of supposed to be doing.
Okay.
In the end, I think it got up to... now, what was it?
So this is how many people they had in it?
Yeah, because it was designed obviously for a certain amount of people. So what you can imagine was, back in the day, they'd had so many people allocated, like doctors and nurses, to so many patients. But like what it ended up doing, it ended up getting to, it had a daily population of 2,360, and it's supposed to be like meant to contain 600.
Okay.
But what happened was that the staff couldn't deal with it, so it was a case of just going, oh well, that one's gibberish, just put them in a straitjacket, oh just dose that one up, oh just give that one there a lobotomy. It was pretty much the first sort of hospital which started doing lobotomies. It sort of popularised it almost.
So this is back in the day where, again...
This is 1939. By 1939. Yeah, they're still...
unknown. And if somebody acted in any way strange, they were locked up. And that was it.
Any way strange at all. Well, any way strange at all. Like, if you had depression, you would be lobotomized. If you know, any sort of weird sort of thing they think was weird, they deemed weird, you're lobotomized, which is just crazy. And loads of people, because they couldn't look after all the people, there's just people just lying around in their filth and their dirt, and they just got iller and iller and iller because nobody could look after them. They weren't being fed, because they're lobotomized, they're just staring at the walls and stuff, like in the movie, you know, Hank does. And it just kept going and going and going, and that's what they sort of did, and they just stopped looking after people, and they're just wandering around naked, all these patients, fucked out of their faces, completely gone, like just not even people who were there anymore, their minds had gone, they're just these bodies just floating around, just walking around, bumping into each other, and just shitting on each other. Do you know what I mean? How fucked is that?
Yeah, it's definitely a spooky looking building, and the fact that they shot the movie there, and there's all these stories. You can actually go on and read about some of the stories. It was called, was it the Danvers? Is that the one?
Danvers State Hospital in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
It's also inspired H.P. Lovecraft for some of his stories as well. So yes, but I am going to tell you now. I tried looking up birthday present stories. So I've got one. It's not like really bad or anything, but I'm going to read it to you as is. Here we go. I won't put a voice on.
Let's pick it up a bit then. Let's be happy.
Let's be all happy. Well, I can't remember if this is happy or not. It's so long ago.
So these are shit birthday presents.
Well, this is just one story. I just chose the best one. I chose the one I liked.
Oh God.
I remember this so well, even though it was so long ago. So much went wrong at once. It was my 8th birthday and I'd invited every male that I knew, which totaled about 18 kids. I lived in a tiny apartment in New York, so there wasn't much space. My aunt was in town, and instead of making a gigantic cake for my party, imagine a wedding-style tiered cake, but blue and green with Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers on it.
Yeah.
I was so excited for it that before I even blew out the candles, I smashed my face head first into the cake to eat it. This knocked over some of the candles onto the wig that my friend Henry was wearing. This was a costume party. He was dressed as Luke Skywalker.
Oh, Henry!
Right as Henry's wig burst to flame, I got some cake up my nose and threw up all the candy, pizza, and cake I'd eaten so far all over the cake. So just to recap, candy, pizza, cake, blood, vomit all over the rest of the cake, flaming wig right next to me, and 18 kids screaming and running around. My aunt runs in and starts screaming about the cake, and my mum is right behind her screaming about the fire. Henry is crying his eyes out because his wig is gone, and I'm dazed from throwing up a day's worth of food. The fire gets put out, and I go to the doctor. Turns out I'd torn a bit of my vulva while clogging myself with cake, and I was rushed to the ER. All in all, it was a crazy day. I got awesome presents though.
Was that, did you say 8th birthday?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is a series of terrible things.
I can't even say who it was by. I found it on Reddit and it's anonymous, so there you go.
Oh, that's so bad. It starts so well with a giant Ninja Turtle Power Rangers cake.
I know.
And you've got a buddy there. Henry's dressed up as Luke Skywalker.
He got so excited, he just planted his face head first in the cake out of excitement.
I've wanted to do that. I'm not going to lie. I've seen a cake before and thought, could I just do that? But I've not done it.
This kid did it. Made him puke up everywhere because he couldn't breathe through his nose because of the cake, I guess.
Whilst Henry's head was on fire.
Henry's head's on fire. Poor Henry.
Well, I liked that. That was a nice little happy... Although there was some fire and some vomit and blood, there was... it was a happy way to end the majority of this episode, which has been a fantastic episode.
It has indeed.
It's had to be a bit serious at times, which is fine, because sometimes life can be serious.
Indeed. So that's the end of the World of Strange. Bill, can you please take us out of here? I wonder what birthdays Bill has, but he has great birthdays.
That's all the time we've got for this week on World of Strange. Next week, though, gimme Ira. Hairless pets. Weird.
And we're back again.
Coolio. So that was your birthday episode, Gav. 1985. I've said it again. Episode 85.
Indeed.
Enjoyed that one. Always good to watch a movie I've never seen before, so thank you again for session 9. That was brilliant. That's one I'll go back to. You kind of could really watch that twice in a row, really, couldn't you? Once you've seen it, you go back and you find out a lot more.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic to revisit First Blood. What a great movie. What a very serious film as well. It's not the silly action film a lot of people probably would think it is.
No.
It's a really well made, well acted film. So there we go. That's your birthday episode. Happy birthday to you again.
Thank you kindly.
Thank you to Necro again for allowing us to use his song.
Thank you, Necro.
Earlier, and yeah, I guess
do check out if you're into his stuff. Do check out his back catalogue.
Yeah, I used to be well into Necro back in the day. He was horror hip-hop, horrorcore hip-hop.
Yeah.
Some of
his stuff
started doing, and
some of his stuff
he was
is
kind of the originator. I feel like really Necro.
Yeah, totally. Some of his stuff is a pretty quite full on. So it might offend some of you. But
do be prepared. It's very graphic. He basically narrates like horror movies in the form of a rap, which is perfect for us, but it's not for everybody's taste. It's not the sort of thing you'd play blasting out your car. You're just stuck in traffic.
No.
Or maybe you would. Maybe you would. Gav, before we go then, before we talk about our next episodes, you wanted to mention the horror... Oh, this is going to rhyme. You wanted to mention the horror convention.
Oh, yeah. Well, very quickly, Beyond has finished having its effects made and it's about to be coloured and coming out. I can't believe how long it's taken to make a bloody short film. I just want to quickly say that. So it's nearly done, for fuck's sake. Anyway... Yes, we are, as in Deadbolt Films, we're having a big whole rebranding, whole rejiggle this year, and we're all coming out like guns a-blazing. And anyway,
exciting
we're actually
going
to attend a horror convention down in, this is in England, unfortunately, I'm afraid, in Southampton in October, like a weekend before Halloween, possibly, the Hampshire HorrorCon. We're going to actually have a table there. We're going to show, I think we're going to show Preternatural and a couple of short films, and we're going to have a panel with a Q&A.
Very exciting.
We'll probably have some things we can give out, so if anybody is around, we'll tell the dates closer time. But yeah, we found it out recently. It's quite nice. It's a Deadbolt thing, though. It's not just me, because I've done like bits and bobs. So it's nice to have like Deadbolt Films is there, so...
We'll try and get the crew together for that one.
Yeah, there's loads of people already want to go. I've got to find out what the score is for the tickets, though, because they're not obviously going to give us tons and tons of tickets. So.
No.
But yes.
We could maybe even sell some merch there. You never know.
Yeah, I think we could try and do some giveaways. I think we could try and give some stuff away. Yeah.
I could just give out hugs.
We don't really have enough merch to give out to sell, so, you know. Yes. That's that, really. That's it. So, yeah.
Fantastic.
And I bought a new camera, and I'm all excited. I bought my new camera.
Oh, yes, you've got the new camera.
Yes, and a tripod and mic. And ooh, it's exciting. But that's boring shit now I'm not going to talk about. So, yeah.
Well, there you are. Another year older, another year wiser.
I know, 43. 34, I mean. 34.
I always think about if you switch your age around. So, like, when I was 21, I was like, God, imagine what it was like when I was 12. You know what I mean? And now you're 42. You can 43, in fact. You can be 34 now if you want.
Yeah, and when I'm 49, I can be 94. Brilliant.
Oh my God, yeah, that doesn't work when you get to a certain age.
I can't believe that the next O I'm getting to is 50.
I thought that the other day.
Isn't that weird?
My next big one is my 50th. That's crazy.
But again, I'm 43. I don't feel like I'm 43. I don't really feel like I'm an age. Does that make sense?
I spoke to a grown woman the other day.
I guess I feel 30s. Maybe early 30s, I guess. Don't know.
I spoke to a grown woman the other day, and her date
of
birth was 2000.
What grown woman? What?
Well, her date of birth was 2002, and I thought, fuck off. How is this? What has happened?
That is
How
a bit weird,
are you
isn't
born
it?
in 2002 and you're 18?
That's really weird.
Isn't that mental?
Mm.
Where has the time gone?
In your machine.
It has. Well, I tell you what, next episode 86, we are going to be getting loved up, lubed up, and something else up.
Yeah.
Because it's our Valentine's episode. It's going to be a bit later than normal, but we are going to be looking at Ghost with Patrick Swayze, and we're going to get the clay wheel out, aren't we, Gav? We're going to try and make some clay items together.
Make a big clay dildo.
Mm-hmm. And we're also going to be watching Death Becomes Her, which is going to be great. Can't wait for that one. Bit of Goldie Hawn, bit of Bruce Willis. So that is episode 86.
86.
Yeah? 86. Episode 87, we are very excited because we have something to announce. So, episode 87, we'll be celebrating. February is traditionally Women in Horror Month. And we are going to be covering 2 female-centric horror movies. We're going to be looking at The Descent, and we are going to be looking at the 2019 remake of Suspiria. And we are going to be joined by a lady.
Yeah,
aren't we?
A lady representing ladies in the horror month would be good. Ladies. We are coming out the wrong month, though. We probably won't get this out till March. So apologies.
So, we will still be celebrating.
It will be. It will be celebrating women.
We'll be celebrating women, and it's going to be Kate that's joining us, Kate Pollock, and I think it's her first time on a podcast. I can't remember, but she's very excited, as are we. And she is, she studied horror. Well, not horror. Sorry, she didn't study horror. She studied film, and she knows shitloads about feminism. And it's really interesting whenever I've watched a film with her, because she spots so many things that I just wouldn't even think of.
Oh yeah, she's gonna.
Yeah, that bloke fired a rocket, but she's like, yeah, but the reason the rocket went off is because, you know what I mean?
She's gonna totally just make us look like dunces, isn't she?
The podcast may end up just becoming her running it from the future episodes, and we'll just sort of not be there. But anyway, we're building her up too much. But yes, so Kate will be joining us for episode 87, our Women in Horror. And then episode
I've never even heard her voice, so I don't even know.
There we go. And episode 88, I can now announce, because we always do 3 episodes, episode 88 will be Cannibal Holocaust and Ravenous.
Oh yeah.
So I hope you're hungry for that episode, because we are going to be eating. I couldn't think of anything to say.
Brilliant.
I got a joke about cannibals.
Do you want to keep it for then?
2 cannibals. No, I'll tell it now. 2 cannibals attack a circus, and they said afterwards they've eaten a few of them. He said, "What was it like?" He said, "Yeah, the clowns tasted a bit funny."
Ridiculous.
Sorry. So there we go. We are a proud member of Legion Podcast, as always. Thank you again to Bo for everything he does for the network. Pleased to announce, very excited to announce that soon, in fact, probably this will be the first episode that you'll be able to hear on YouTube. So another platform that you'll be able to find us on, hence part of the reason we have to be careful with music, as we discussed earlier. So YouTube, Spotify, another place to find us. You can go to the Legion Podcast website, and not just us, but all the other podcasts in the network are on that website. Very, very active on Facebook. Legion Podcast has its own page, and the podcast on Haunted Hill has its own page. You can find us on there, and you can chat to us. You can message me, like I said, about the topics we discussed earlier, or you can just chat absolute nonsense, post up pictures of fun things or films you're watching or posters or whatever that is you want to do. It's the place to do it on the Haunted Hill. You can also find us on podknife.com, the Podbean app on your mobile phone, podcast app. We're on Apple Podcasts. You can leave reviews on a lot of these platforms. We'd love a review. We're on Twitter with @HauntedPodcast. We are now finally, I'm so behind, but we finally got on Instagram, didn't we, Gav? So it's the podcast on Haunted Hill Insta. So if you ever want to tag us in anything.
And Deadbolt Films.
And don't forget, Deadbolt Films is on there now as well. We're so behind, but we're on there. That's the main thing.
I know.
And finally, as well as all of that goodness, if you'd like to support us and help see us grow as a podcast, you can support us through Patreon. So thank you as always to our 2 patrons, RJ McCready and Lem Yao. And even if you just want to donate £1 a month, we would appreciate it. Anything that can help us with equipment or podcasting, just generally, really, we'd appreciate that. But I won't beg, and that's all I'll say on it, as we always say with that one. So there we go.
There we go.
Very good episode 85. Looking forward to getting into some lovely Kama Sutra style positions with you in the next episode, Gav.
Yeah.
For Valentine's.
I guess. Yeah.
Should be saucy.
Can't wait to do the clay modelling though. That'd be good.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We'll take our shirts off for that one, right?
I guess that's what they do. Who's going to be Demi and who's going to be Patrick?
I'm going to be Demi.
Okay.
No, I'm going to be Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to be Whoopi Goldberg.
Well, it's a good night from Whoopi Goldberg.
It's a good night from the Caruso.
Oh, it's a good night from.
Oh, bless him. And it's a good night from Billy, the little boy on the cassette tape of session 9.
Oh, yeah. Then you can just go for all the different voices, really, can't you?
Not going to do that, though. But yeah.
It's a good night from me.
And it's a good night from me. So, yes.
Good night.
I hope you guys are all well, and I hope you enjoyed the episode. And peace out. We love you lots, and we'll see you next time for some Valentine's romance.
Sexy, sexy times. Take it easy, guys. Thank you for listening to the podcast on Haunted Hill. We will be back again real soon.